good? Is that good? Is that good? Is that good? Is that good? Wait, really? Is that good? Is that good? Is that good? Hi, Nick. Hello. Chat, put a 1 in chat if you can hear me. F5. Okay, yeah, okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. Wait, nothing happened then? That's it? It just, okay. Why did someone get first? We try stream chat? Okay.
You should have told them that they have to refresh the page before you ended, buddy.
Oh, you're right.
Say that in chat right now. Refresh, refresh, refresh.
Refresh, refresh. Oh, wait, no, you saw. Wait, what?
How did you have so many gems, bro?
Huh?
Oh, yeah, because you're like level 40, bro. You're a fucking loser.
Dude, Bobble is so hot.
I'm leaving.
Chilling, bro. I'm the guy who killed you in Manhunt. Wait, what? Hello, Qndres. I'm the guy who killed you in Manhunt. Nice to see you again. Oh.
Wait. What the fuck?
What?
You restarted streaming at 179 viewers. What is happening?
No way.
What's poppin', bro? Did you get raided while you were offline?
No. That's definitely a bug. That's definitely a glitch. Definitely a glitch. Yeah, because I'm at 198 viewers. It's not true.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Wait, why am I at solid 190 viewers? What the fuck?
Let's go.
Yeah, sir, that's a glitch, right? Wait, everyone refresh.
Actually, wait. That's all your alt accounts.
Fuck you.
Okay, why is Venus just straight up lying in the chat, bro? That's crazy.
It's about okay. It duplicates. Okay, there we go. There we go, bro. Chat, I just lost 120 viewers. W. My goal of becoming partner just died.
Yep, GG's. Not relevant anymore.
Dude, dude, I might just keep streaming until I get partner. Thoughts?
Wait, did you accuse somebody of reach?
No. Why?
When you got killed? Somebody in your chat just said, bro, accused me of reach. No way you were raging that bad that you accused somebody of reach. You got destroyed that bad?
No.
You got destroyed that bad?
If I probably accused you, you probably were like lagging or something. How you become partner? 75 average viewers. $30-day stream. Thoughts? I mean, stream now until Thanksgiving? Question mark. You're mad crazy? Wait, what? We are at 75.
Yo, guys, Qndres wants partner just to be able to go to a party, guys. He's an alcoholic.
Exactly, dude. Dude. Chat. Let me explain to you.
He doesn't care
going to TwitchCon. Shut up. Going to TwitchCon.
Wow.
Being affiliate fucking sucks, dude. You sit there and you see all your friends go in that lounge. Okay, look, pretend this is like the partner lounge, okay? And like pretend like you have friends that are all partners and you're just sitting here as an affiliate watching them go in there and you're just like these. Watching everyone go in and you're just sitting out there like a loner.
Wait, so wait. So you're only friends with partners because you think affiliates aren't relevant enough?
Dude, I literally never said that, dude.
Cloud chaser. Can we get some cloud chaser in chat, please? Yo. Exposed, canceled, actually. Clip it, chat, clip it.
All right, we done or what's going on? What's the best recommendation to start winning a game? I'll be honest with you. Just go get enchants, get 2 diamonds, and just go crazy with enchants. Make obby with the water buckets. Yeah. Nah, being serious though, it's like it's mad sad just seeing all your friends go to the partner lounge and you're sitting there outside. So
damn, I don't know this booster guy in chat, but he's kind of right, dude. You should listen to him, Qndres.
Bad Vendor, she's my mod though.
Bro. I don't give a shit.
Has anyone made the Sonic bow? No, actually. Wait, wait, Sonic Bow's still here? That's right there, yeah.
You seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie?
Nope, I haven't. Don't ruin it, bro, please.
No, I haven't seen it either. I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
They should like make this like only 2 of them, not 4, because I've heard that's actually hard to get 4. Also, how do you get tokens faster? You buy.
No,
you
go
to.
If there's an
you go pay to win.
You just find them. You'll just find them in the chest. You can literally get like 9 of the fragments in a chest.
Wait, what's happening to app, by the way? Mask. I'm back in 1. Okay.
Wait, you have a level 4 miner? No way.
Yeah, I'm going for level 5. Or should I just up? No, I'm going for level 5 miner because No, I have a level 3 miner. I'm going for level 4 because I just get more bright. Wait, why do I even need the level 4 miner? I feel like the level 3 is that's it, right? Wait, what am I doing?
Wait, what is level 4? What is level?
It's
4?
literally useless. Just get more bread. You get 2 more bread, and 4 more coal.
Same with the. You get miner's helmet if you get the final one though.
What's the best kit? This should be like an ult, like a rare, like I don't know actually. What's the best kit? I go miner. People go. I've heard people go warrior. Cringe people go archer. People that speed and go looter, and then trapper is just also for weirdos as well. Well, you know, it's fine.
I feel like warrior and miner are just the best ones at the moment.
They should have a. I don't know. For warrior, no, because I'm rushing nether. I think Booster should go looter. I go miner.
Loki just go warrior if you go miner.
No, you go looter because you want to rush the chest and bastions, and you get like better loot.
You get better loot as looter. You get luck.
Yeah. Yes. You get luck.
Wait, what?
Yep. That's why it's OP when you rush bastion looter. And I just got you
effect for the first 15. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's why I just got you an iron pickaxe and you just go crazy. How many subs do you need to add to a win? How many chat? What do we have?
Loki, I should just be miner. You be looter, because then. No, wait. I know where everything is in the chest in the bastion. Yeah, but then you need to learn how to speed on the game because you get all the buckets and everything. I'll just get myself some blocks or whatever. But yeah, you should give me smelter pickaxe and then yeah, I can go crazy. True. Yo, Andres, let's race in the parkour. Andres, parkour race.
On. IPP question mark? Yes. And chat, what does IPP stand for? Fuck, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, what's IPP by the way?
Wait, I forgot. What is the I sign? I know it's PP is like, and is it bro. Chat, what? Invincible? No, it's intro PvP. It's like before PvP is enabled, you can't kill. It's like before. It's like fuck. There's a word for that. No, it's not invincibility PvP.
Invulnerable PvP.
Oh wait, actually it might be invincible. Yo, K-Saw, thanks. You get the one to eat though. I love eat though.
Has gifted a sub to Thob0T.
You know what eat the butt is?
Why are his buddies' logos and pathos not here?
What?
You don't know Ethos logos and pathos? That's crazy, dude.
No, not Ethos. Wait, that's fucking Ethos logos. That's math, no?
Please, somebody clip that, please.
What?
Please.
Yo, you want to know something crazy though? That I just found out.
I need it. I need that as my ringtone, as
my
alarm, as my message sound.
The booster.
Please.
Serious talk here? Did you? Okay. Wait, listen. I literally found. I'm not even joking. Okay. So I froze a water bottle, right? And I took it out this morning, but it was like half, like, you know, empty, right? So I took it out so it would like you know, like it would unfreeze, right? And bro, it became a brand new water bottle again.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so I froze a water bottle, right? And then the water, like, for some reason shrunk down.
Water, right?
Full of water. Yeah. It was full of water. The bottle like shrunk in size, like not shrunk in size, but like the water shrunk in size. And I took it out, and it became a brand new water bottle. It's kind of crazy. Thanks for getting this up. Appreciate it. Kind of crazy, no?
You mean that the ice shaped like a water bottle is a water bottle? Is that what you're claiming?
No. The brand new water bottle that I threw in the freezer, right? It shrunk in size because I put it in the freezer, right? And you know, and it became ice. And when I took it out, it became a brand new water bottle.
By the way, right? You know that ice expands, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that, but like, no, I knew ice expanded, but like, I didn't know that. I thought you lose water or something.
No, you don't. It just expands. That's why, like, rocks here in Norway, for example, that's why they fall from like steep hills and shit, because water gets in the cracks, and then through the winter it expands, and then through the summer it melts, and then the stone just gets loose and it just falls.
Wait, are you a scientist?
What can I
Indirect
say?
PvP. Yeah. I'm sorry. I fucking hated science or math and English.
Bro, you said logos and pathos is fucking math, dude.
It is,
Dude,
bro. What do you mean?
somebody
Oh,
clip
that's
it,
sine
somebody
and
clip it,
cosine.
somebody
That's
clip
sine
it.
and cosine.
Oh my.
Oh, why are you doing good? How are you? We're waiting for Ant for
Next thing you're gonna say is Pythagoras theorem is fucking biology.
That's math, bro. Come on now. I was literally a dude. I was a scholar in math, bro. Go on, test me right now. I'm being serious. Test me any math question. Yeah, thanks for getting another sub, here, Saucy.
4C_21 has gifted a sub to Ruben Molina.
Yeah, that's what I thought, bitch. Did you hear my question?
Nope, because I have to get another win now. Now we're at 19 wins.
367 times 3.65.
That's wait. Say it slower, bro. I can't hear your music's loud. Say it again.
2,135 times 3.712.
3.712.
Are you putting it in a calculator?
No, I'm putting it in chat. The answer is. Chat, someone do the math, please. The answer is. Look. I'm clapping my hands. I'm literally not. I'm looking. Look. The answer is 6,772.22.
I'm surprised it took you that long to use a calculator. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't. Dude, did you not? Yeah, I was clapping my hands. Like what?
You're slow. I didn't hear any.
All right, give me another one. Watch. Okay, watch.
Did you
Okay.
hear any claps?
Okay. What? You literally heard me clap. What? Okay, give me another one. Give me another one. Give me another one.
Please.
Give me another one, bro.
Let me see this.
Wait, what clip? What are you talking about? Wait, what? Ann said I come back in one. Chat, what did Ann say? Did you say
That's
he's in a
math? Oh my god. Wait, what's up? Sorry.
Wait, what did Ann say? He said he's in a dodge or I'm confused.
He said I'm coming back in one. I don't know if that's 1 hour or 1 minute.
1 hour or 1 minute?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna lie.
Chat, do we go with 1 minute or 1 hour? He said one.
Or 1 day, you know, or 1 week.
One day,
month,
1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 century, one. Yo, Rebel, thanks for following. Appreciate it. What does your tag say? Who you are and where you're from, but not that you're bald. Wait, what?
Yo, Andres, if you
I'm not
find
from
me in the
Mexico
lobby,
though.
I'll give you. I'm gonna unnick. If you find
Okay,
me in
bet.
the lobby, I'm gonna give you a kiss.
I bet. Wait, really?
Wait, let me take a 2-minute timer. 2-minute time. 1 second.
Wait, hold on. I gotta go slash hub. Wait, do I start now? Do I get any hints or do I get nothing?
Fuck that.
No hints? No hints.
0 hints.
You're not at the end of the parkour, are you? What? Why are you doing that fucking voice? The sound.
Are you slash flying? You dumbass, bro. Nah. And you can see me glowing.
Give me a kiss, bitch. Give me a kiss, bitch.
Fuck that.
No, bitch. What the fuck? No.
Nah, you cheated.
No, I found you fair and square. 2 minutes. You didn't say anything else.
Fly, dude. You slash fly. Wait,
What
tag
do you
me,
mean?
Tag me.
Dude, you owe me a kiss, bro. Where you going?
No, you have to tag me if you want the kiss, bro.
Nah, that's crazy. Scam.
No, you have to tag me.
You're the new fraud.
Can I fly out of the map? Can I fly out of the map?
I don't know, can you?
There's borders. Nah.
One game, baby. Oh, he might have said 1 game.
Oh, is he playing with somebody else?
Fuck.
Damn, he dished us, bro. Yeah, why did we not play?
Yeah, we low-key should have played that. Wait, slash rejoin. I'm in.
Again.
Wait.
Somebody just sent me a clip.
Oh, no.
Oh
just
yeah,
got kicked.
wait, I'm in as well. Oh my god. I'm dead.
You alive? Me too.
I'm dead.
Okay, never mind. What's up, Pippi?
I was like, I'm flying in survival mode, and then I just realized I'm dead. I'm gonna be unnicked. Let's see what happens.
Why do you only have 2 servers? I don't know. My bad, my fault.
Why am I being called a scammer in your chat? What's happening?
You are a scammer. You didn't give me a kiss. You literally owe me a fucking kiss, buddy.
Fuck you.
I know I'm not a Smurf cat, bro. I'm literally not a Smurf cat. Should we just play without? Should we play one without Ant?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow, West Coast. Pippi's in my lobby. They're gonna rush strength, by the way. If you see X Pippi, you kill him. He has strength.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Did you see that? Did you hear that?
What happened?
I remember Booster from Yellow Wool.
Yeah, that's Booster from Yellow Wolf has to be the craziest thing someone can say. Wait, Booster, were you in that one yellow video? Yo, that's crazy. What?
I'm getting targeted, man. Bro, what is this? You can't nick an arena, bro. You can't nick an arena. I have a whole squad.
Is that
on me,
Qndres from Bob Blue? Oh my god. Qndres is only known because of them. W.
Qndres, why did you not experience this in the arena, bro? I had the entire lobby chasing me.
Because it's not being a bitch, right? Yeah, good thing you slashed on Nick.
Do you hear this?
What happened?
Oh, dude, are you hearing this on the what's happening on the dragon?
No, what?
Bro, I want to kill myself, man.
Yo, in Minecraft, right? Surely.
God, dude, they're following me, bro.
we have Witherhide on our team. We win.
Dude, they're following me. A kid is following me. Please, man. Please, bro. This is a bad idea, man.
See, no one follows me.
Oh my god.
I don't fucking know, Booster. I say you should just quit YouTube while you're fucking ahead, buddy. Why don't you get a real job and go outside and get just what the fuck am I saying? I'm literally a fucking Twitch streamer. Like, what am I doing?
Oh my god, dude. No, actually, this is fine. This is fine. Targeting isn't real. Targeting isn't real. I'm just imagining it. They didn't say my name. I'm just a schizophrenic, you know? They didn't actually say my name, right?
Dude, they're literally a fan of you. Like, this is how you treat your fans. It's fucking crazy.
They're not,
Wait, okay. Serious question now. Yeah. If someone asked you for a picture in real life, what would you say? You said yes? Really?
Yes.
Even like, would you tell them like don't post it on Twitter, or like would you not care?
I ask naked or with clothes.
Okay, Booster, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm being serious right now.
I feel like it's a common question, you know, like it's
okay, don't post. You be like, oh yeah, don't post that, by the way.
No. Credit me. I would say credit.
Yeah, what do you mean credit you? The fuck? Yo, your ego has to be huge to say that. Yo, by the way, make sure you tag me with that post, by the way. Like, okay, like
yeah, that
the post ego just
tag me, please.
Okay, like nice. This is W ego, I guess. Oh hey, by the way, just make sure you tag me or just don't post that at all. Like, I'll be taking that down with my editor. Like, what? So Gunther, yo, you must be like the craziest guy, dude.
Tag me, bro.
I won't be tagging you in that post, Booster. My ear hurts. Yeah, dude. Okay. I'm gonna get all these wins that I don't know. Maybe I just do like a funny, not funny, but I don't know. We'll see what I can do with all these wins I get. I don't want to make it into like one single video. I feel like I won't. Like one video for all these wins I've gotten is not gonna be it, because that can just get repeat on content, and it'll kind of sound like. It'll basically just be manhunts all over again. I would just keep. I mean, I guess it's fine, right? I have no fucking flint. Booster, give me a kiss still.
I have 5 diamonds.
Oh shit! Pop off, King. I'm another already. Bastion, I'm ready. I spawn right next to it.
Oh my god! Wait. Oh, I thought that lick thingy.
Wait, I'm going the wrong way. Wait, what is this, chat? What is this? What is this? I don't know what this is. Does you want to kiss a green man so badly? Bro, it's, you know, it's a green man.
Wait, who did we say we should focus on?
Bridge.
Like, who's good?
Our team is Witherhide. He's pretty good. He rushes another most of the time.
Wait, isn't it the
He's playing my stream right now.
Had a coin flip with, you know?
Probably, was it?
Yeah, I don't think he knows that it was me though. Maybe he does.
Definitely knows it was you because you're in my stream talking about coin flipping someone.
No. Like that was yesterday.
Yeah. He was in my stream yesterday too.
Oh, he's targeting you. That's crazy, bro.
No, he just queued up. No.
Hi, Andres.
No, Pippi, get away from me, Pippi. Get away from me, Pippi. Pippi? Pippi, you should jump off this bastion right now. I heard it gives you 20 hearts of HP. No troll.
Does it?
Yeah, try it.
Thanks for the gold.
You're welcome. I got 9 blocks. What about you?
I didn't have a pick. I got 7. I didn't have iron pickaxe with me, so I already needed that.
Welcome. Sucks that you don't know the hidden gold. Yeah, make a notch. Make a notch of that gold. Yeah.
No, we have
I'm
that
getting
bug.
jumped by the.
Yeah, I believe it.
Uh oh.
Ancient debris.
Who are you talking to right now?
I'm in.
Oh, our teammate just died. Willerhide, what the fuck are you doing, Willerhide?
Yeah.
Wait, did
what-
Willerhide die?
What's this guy doing?
We're not rezzing. We're not rezzing. No. That does not deserve a res, bro.
All right, they got the.
You got what? The loot?
Okay, we basically just won. I got some things that they don't have, and they can hear me in game. Fuck.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh.
I got strength 2 pots.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
That's just
Real.
I have women.
Wait,
Oh,
don't tell them.
fuck.
They're just gonna make the
Very
lich
much.
thingy.
Well, I got 2 of those. Wait, I don't have any.
Oh my god, these giant trees, bro.
I have
It's gonna
2.
break if
I have
mine.
nothing, bro. Boost ride just die here.
What do you mean?
Why my
you die
corpse,
here?
bro?
No, bro. Don't die, bro.
Dude, Willerhide just died, bro. Willerhide, what are you thinking, brother?
Nah, Willerhide is fucking ass.
Have you guys ever heard of Twitch Prime chat?
Dude, lock in, man. We're trying to win here.
Yo,
I have
yo,
diamonds
yo,
for
yo,
it.
yo.
I have 2 chance at a diamond sword, bro. What are you doing?
Oh my god, it's Andres.
I'm not Andres. What? You're seeing things, bro.
Ah, Lim.
You're trolling,
Oh,
bro.
the shadow.
Stop trolling, man.
I'm not trolling. I'm locked in.
You're not, bro. You're literally sucking somebody's toes right now.
Yo, what are you saying?
Andres, come in, man.
What?
You
Yo, bro.
streaming? Maybe. Oh, I'm popping your Twitch. I'm putting your Twitch stream up right now.
Mine's 0-0, bro.
Don't do it. I'm not streaming.
I'm doing it.
I'm not
doing
streaming.
it.
I'm not streaming. I'm chilling.
I literally heard you say
Did you-
chat.
That's my chat. I just talked to everyone like that. Chat.
Yeah,
Like, you're my-
yeah, sure.
Chat.
What's up, chat?
Yo, yo.
I know. I'm
Yo,
on.
what's cracking?
No, you're not. You're not
Oh,
on.
your stupid ads are really pissing me off.
Oh, W ads. W ads.
Dude, where's Anforst? Where's Anforst? We don't have. I don't have a teammate, bro.
I'm coming up. Boost from here. I'm here. Boost for. The guy goes. Oh, stupid fucking ads, man. Watch my stream. I'm coming up. Do you have diamonds? I have Obby. I have 4 Obby. Okay, I have one ancient debris. We can make 1 sword.
Okay. Get
As-
fire charge.
Oh, I need fire charge. Fuck. I do gotta trade anyways. Fuck.
You have the gold? Did you, I mean, did you
Yeah,
get,
I have a lot of gold.
Did you? Okay, nice. Just trade them.
Yo, William, thanks to follow. I go back and get 1.
I already have enchants. 1 more diamond, I can get you a sword as well.
But fuck. Yo, breakfast. No, breakfast. What's up? I'm glad they removed brutes, by the way. It would have been
I'm so
not
unhappy,
fun.
bro.
Wait, why?
Made the bastion so much more fun, you did.
It would have been a lot harder to loot.
Exactly. A lot of people would have died because, like, when they rush, they stress out, they want to get everything, and they just die.
Should I get 1 first try? Wait, why is it going for me? Oh.
Oh, hello, Andres. Good time. Long time no see.
Yo, you want stuff? Take that stuff right there, man. Uh-oh, you're dying. What are you doing? You. I'm not gonna say it.
Andres, you gonna say it on the stream?
I don't cuss in
You
stream.
sure?
Tell him.
I can literally hear myself on stream, man.
I got shit.
Oh yeah? Congrats.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. I just followed you.
Oh, you're back fast?
Yeah.
Well, why is your name not breakfast?
What do you mean? I used to watch a Minecraft
Anforst
YouTuber,
is online. Let's go.
What?
and
Can
he
you join our
used to
game?
say breakfast the whole time, so I just changed my name to that.
What?
Anforst, join our game.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You gotta stop following me, bro.
Why not? Why not?
Because I'm trying to do my
trolling
own thing.
nowadays.
I'm not trolling, Booster.
You're trolling, bro.
Alright, so now you're trying to IPVP me. That's bannable, by the way. Just letting you know.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Booster.
Hmm?
Bet, Ant got you. Ant said to ping after this game.
Yeah. I mean, we can just go ham and then.
Alright, fine.
just
I'll
run
leave
it
you be. I'll
down
leave you be.
Careless. It's fine.
Oh my god, finally, bro. Okay, we're good. He says he's leaving me alone. Am I gonna believe that? Probably not. Let me meet up in game now. Okay. Don't be weird, people. Yeah, don't stream Snapchat. Oh my fucking god. Please. I just need one thing. I just need one flame charge. No, it's 7 out of 7.
Need sand, bro.
Give me one fire charge, please. Oh, I got it. Okay, I'm out of here. We can make one thing, by the way, booster. One katana. I also got 2 leather. How many diamonds do you have, booster?
I got 1 diamond, and then I have a diamond sword.
Okay. What
Wait, are you
the
gonna give me the katana, or are you
fuck?
gonna try to get the katana? Because I can just
Hold
hold
on.
the sharp 3 diamond.
Someone just tried.
Split you?
He's gonna stop. He's probably gonna stalk me here. Weirdo. Wah. You're good. I'm coming up. WSK saucy. Thanks for the fight. Get it though. Appreciate you. Can you add me on Discord just to VCs? You can remove me later. Just easier to communicate.
There's no way our teammate just left an enchant table! What the fuck is he doing?
What happened? What
Okay.
happened? What happened?
Holy shit. A clueless guy almost, like, a clueless guy just walked past the enchant table. Thank God.
You have an iron for
Oh
me?
my God. Yeah, no, I don't have iron for you.
Fuck. Okay. Well, I can get books, like 2 books probably.
Yeah, I can try to get, I don't know.
I see one. I see 1 time so I can make that sword.
Katana? Yeah,
Yeah,
I need
katana.
to go mine again. This guy doesn't want to go offense, man. Our teammate doesn't want to go offense. It's so
Yeah.
sad.
Well, just what offense? Like what? Yo, vote it now. Vote it now.
Yeah.
Did not, you not win? No, Jack. Actually, yeah. What? Why, Jack? I got off. I only played 1 game so far. I played 2 games today. Lied. What's up, Sailor? We okay win this. That's where I built my thing. Oh.
Oh, somebody got killed by the...
If you can just get 1 diamond, anyone have 1 diamond? Yo, Will Heights, stay here. I'll revive you, by the way. Oh, diamonds. Never mind.
Andres is 40 stars and he says to do offense. I trust him more. Sorry.
Let's vote. Wait, vote the offense right now, Boost. First, that's vote and just vote offense so they can see.
Come to me. E table here. E table here.
Okay, I made a katana already. Actually, what do I need for katana?
Anybody got 1 diamond?
I just need
Okay. Thank you. Oh, are you gonna? That's fine. Andres has enough materials for a katana, so we're trying to get that. Yeah. We just need 1 diamond, and then Andres has a katana.
No, I already have a diamond. I already have the katana.
Okay. Cause like if we go offense, we should get 1 more diamond, so you can just rock your diamond sword, and then we get katana for Andres.
I already have a katana, Booster.
Oh, you have katana? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we should go offense because that katana is free sharp 2 instant.
W boost for W comms, Booster. W comms. Average first time chatter. I know. It's fine.
Okay, 1 second. Wait, what are you saying, Andres?
No, I said I got katana, and then so in my chat, it's an average chatter.
Okay, nice.
Kingto Booster do this. Kingto Kiera said hi. Like, yeah, man, I got you, dude. Yep. Yep. I'll be your middleman, guys.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Coming up.
Yeah.
You guys all together, Booster?
Wait, what are you saying, Andres?
You guys together right now?
Yes, we're like in a cave. We're gonna come up. Okay, bring the E-table up and stuff so we don't get stuck in a cave, because... Okay.
Do you have lapis for me?
I have 10 lapis,
Okay.
and then I have 2 books and 4 iron, because I didn't get one.
Vote me king. Vote offense. Why does Catan have 0 durability? It's the charges it has. Yo, thanks to Twitch Prime. Appreciate it. When is it now? 1 out of 7?
Subscribed.
Thanks for the Prime. I've got some video ideas.
We need offense. We need offense. Trust. Vote offense.
I can vote while dead. Wait, really? Vote for me.
Vote offense. Vote offense. Vote
Vote
offense.
offense. Vote offense.
No, shut up. Vote offense. Vote offense. Yo. Mute this guy. He's waffling. Vote offense.
Please.
Vote offense. Vote
It's
offense.
for
Vote offense.
video. Just say that's for video, Boost friend. They'll just do it.
Vote offense. Vote offense. Yeah, but I want sharp 3, bro. Relax, dude. Trust
Click
the process. Trust the
iron
process.
sword. Dude, these guys are idiots, dude. Please. Surely it goes to us, right? Because I got more votes. Yes. Okay, good.
Huge. Whoever voted offense, you're a goat.
Did they? Yeah. They still got to vote. The iron sword, by the way, Booster. I can make sharp 2 basically.
Dude, I'm like everybody's mother. They're literally like, please give me milk, and then I have to give them milk. You know, this is crazy.
Huh?
Dude,
You're 700 blocks from you, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, just come to us. We're all here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just waiting.
Hey, Booster, could you sign my left butt cheek?
I will kill.
Yeah. What?
Wait, do you still need iron, Andres?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have
Can
iron. There's like a team.
Okay, why is he iron boots? I can probably make him right now.
Yeah, we need to get you iron.
That's fine. It's fine. I can make himself iron right now.
Do you guys have extra iron? You can just get grindstone. What are you doing? Oh, okay, nice. By the way, do you guys have extra iron? Yeah? Yeah, Andres needs iron. That's why I'm asking, because he doesn't have any.
I have a get apples booster, by the way. You have apples booster? I have like 8 sacks. I have
No, I'm gonna go
8
get
gold
apples
blocks.
now. I'm gonna go get apples now.
There are 2 teammates running out to the giant fight. Oh no.
Yeah.
Just spectate for me, Willer. It's fine. I still need to head to respawn you anyways. I think we just respawn Willer because he's like, yeah.
Yeah, we should.
All right, boys. So you can take out the mask now. By the way, it's Halloween's over.
Turn on what?
I said you can take the mask off now. Halloween's over. Uh-oh, I see a team. I see a 2 team. Middle between us.
Andres, are you on the way?
Yeah.
Nice.
I see clueless person. What's spawn go on? Got him. 11 diamonds. I can make 1 piece diamond, by the way.
1 piece diamond, huge. Okay, I have 4 apples.
Oh, for
Need
me.
more?
Oh, this is literally 0-0, bro. Oh my god, you guys are at 0-0?
We're at 75, 188. You guys can go fight if you want. I'm just waiting for Andres right now. I just want to get Andres stacked up because I think we want to respawn Willerhide as well. Oh, there's a diamond right there. Wait. Sure.
Teammate got the head. Give me head. Wait, that's gonna sound so wrong. Give me the head. Oh my god, I was about to say something. Yo. Sensei.
Oh, shit, there's a team.
Give me the head.
Holy shit.
Our teammate just took the head, by the way. Dude, give me the head. Give me the head. Sensei. Give me the head. Oh my god, dude.
We don't have much healing.
Booster, are you good? Give me the fucking... Dude. Fucking god. I need it for golden head. Give me the head. Dude, hello? My... Bro. No, you're not getting the fucking G head. I guess, but you're good?
We don't have any healing, so this is just bad. Since somebody else has the enchant table on our team, it's just disbanded.
I see you.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why I wanna meet up with Qndres. Wait, Qndres, where are you?
Fighting.
Where at?
The big team that was fighting us.
Okay. Are you in the water? Oh, you are. Wait. I'm coming. I don't have any healing, but I have like.
Okay, it's fine. Here, go. Yeah. I have 11 diamonds. My team, you just killed someone.
11 diamonds. Oh, huge.
Who has the enchant table? Wait, our teammates like literally getting chased. You can look and kill this guy.
Have enchant tables. Who has the enchant table? Who has the enchant table?
I need apples, bro. I have gold. I'm not gonna PvP.
I have apples. I have apples.
Yeah, apples. Give me some.
I'm getting targeted. I have no healing. I'm gonna drop.
Run.
I'm just running.
Well, he wants you dead.
Yeah, I know.
Because of 1 heart.
I need help.
Got him. Correct. Yeah.
I am. Any healing in there? Yeah, there is.
Got him. Healing on the floor here.
Coming. The other guy. Yeah, I got.
What's this guy on? What's rain on?
Oh.
Careful.
He ate a head.
Guy's one piece.
There's a guy with a diamond.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me get the good stuff over here.
I have apples. I have apples.
Yeah. I killed the guy over here. Come. Just come over here.
Yeah, there's a guy with Midas rolling in.
Where the fuck did I kill him?
Bro.
Yeah, is there a loot pile right there? Yeah, get the healing. There's gaps in there, I'm pretty sure. Passing apples boost for I can make healing. I can make more healing.
Oh, somebody just fucking came in and took the gaps, bro.
Here, give me apples. I have gold.
Yeah, here you go.
Can you put crime table down? Did you make your light apples already?
No, give me some.
Take
I have
this.
some gold as well.
Just take that gold. Pick it up. We win this game. Someone just died over here. Someone legit just died down here, but I mean, it's fine.
I'm coming.
Dude, we need, yeah, I'm just making armor. I have 14 diamonds on me. I'm making bottom half.
Only if you have the enchant table?
Nope. I have here. I can make it. Okay, nice.
No, I used up my head.
Booster, how much diamonds do you have?
I have 0. Did the rest of our team just die? Yeah,
Probably.
it was a big fight.
Make sure no one's coming, by the way. Can you try to get sharpness on the sword booster for me?
Yeah.
What's your healing, by the way? I'm currently 5 gaps.
I don't have any lapis. You have lapis?
Yeah, here, take. And also, you can make G head, right? Make that G head.
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
I can get sharpness if you get me enchant bottles.
Here, take more. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna toss you 3 diamonds right now. I need you to make
A what? A pick?
Revive 100. Okay, I'll revive you in a bit. We'll revive right now. Don't worry. Well, there's diamonds here.
Yeah, get it.
Don't worry. I'll revive you, Willer. I'll revive you.
Yeah, we're just waiting here.
We low-key like eat the healing though. Yo, 6 more subs until we're at 200 again.
Check if you have sharpness in the enchant table. Actually, Qndres needs it.
Is there sharpness in there, Foreign?
No, a projectile and smite.
Here, Booster, take these bottles. Hold on, I'm gonna toss them to you right now.
I already crafted my bottles, by the way.
Oh, here, I can make them then.
Oh yeah, guys,
Wait.
if you get ahead, I can revive one of our teammates.
Yeah, can you revive Willerhide? Here, take this.
Huh?
Revive Willerhide, please. He's really good.
Pardon?
Willerhide. His name is Willerhide. Here, Booster.
Okay, my teammates are gonna get angry if I don't revive them, but
It's fine. Just revive Willerhide, please.
I
Willerhide, yeah.
just need a head. All I need is a head.
Oh, I mean, we need a head too, bro.
Oh,
We should
yeah.
take this as well, Booster.
Take what?
Just
Oh,
give you
take your
4
traveling
diamonds.
Guys,
Thank you.
if we can drop some teams, I could
Oh,
probably
do I
revive
just grab
twice.
boots? Okay.
Yeah, crap boots. Wait. Okay.
Yeah,
Do
my
you have problem
teammate.
with
Don't.
I don't know.
See. No. Yeah. Here. Take.
My teammates are also pretty decent.
Yeah.
Oh, you
My.
guys
Yeah.
are
But.
using this for a video. I'll revive your teammate if I get the.
Yeah.
chance.
It's for a video. It is for a video.
Okay, cool. Hi chat.
Actually, wait, you might actually make a video out of this. That's true.
Yeah. This is definitely a video. I'm being serious. This is actually for a video. Can you say hi to my Twitch chat? They're all saying hi to you.
Hi Twitch chat. Hello.
All right. Let's go kill people. There's more people over here. Pick this stuff up, Booster. I have 27. Wait, any more apples, guys?
I
Oh
have,
no. I got
two.
one. I got one.
Wait,
I
do you
got
have
one, actually.
apples? I can
take
craft some
that.
more apples if you have.
Me too.
apples.
I can also grab apples.
Yeah, yeah,
I seen apples.
I have
Oh,
some.
candy here. You picked up candy up.
Yeah,
Nice.
let's just get the apples then, I guess. I'm just gonna go shear down some things.
Wait, that's our other teammates. Wait, where?
2 people over there. 2 people over there. Over here. Over here.
Oh, okay, let's
Two.
Oh, I see. They're bots. They're bots.
They're in a
bots. We can
cave, they're in a
respawn so many people.
Yeah, we can respawn like our whole team.
True, dude.
Yeah, beautiful. And Qndres. So if we get some more gold, because I have the redstone, and I have 4 diamonds, so that's
Here, look, here, in front of us. Clear comms.
Oh yeah.
We got to clear comms, right? Oh, dude, they're not looking too happy. I can TP in them right now. Hold on, let me shoot a gapple.
Hopefully I get speed here.
My teammate who's a ghost is saying they're on 42.
Wait, W teammate. Wait, they're your
Yeah, I
friends?
Yeah, they
Wait,
are.
W friends. Make sure you
See mystical?
I know who that is.
Oh wait, there's 4.
On me.
On him, guys, we're low, guys, we're low.
Steve is low.
Yo, someone's playing on a laptop.
Oh, this guy's
Kill him.
Kill him. Wait, that's a YouTuber.
Oh, not.
Drop this guy.
No, Mato.
Nice. Huge.
No poster?
Yeah, use it.
No, I need help. Deeping out.
Yeah, go to Qndres.
Here's Artemis bow, so I still do so much damage.
Go to Qndres.
Teammate, get him! Just get him, boy.
There's gear here.
I'll leave you alone.
No, shut up. We're killing you. Kill him, teammate. Pick up the head. I got the head. I don't need anything else.
I'm gonna revive. I'm gonna revive.
Yeah, revive Willerhide. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll revive.
It's for a video. Willerhide, you better thank me, by the way. I'm reviving you here. Our teammate's dying here.
Yeah, I'm coming to him.
What's he on?
Yeah, just leave
X-Left?
me alone, man.
Shh, no, we're good.
I'm on 25,000, man.
Alright, bet. We're gonna heal here. We're gonna kill you here, man. You stop running.
27.
Okay, can we make a trade at least?
What's your trade?
Okay, if you stand still, I'll check it out.
Alright, you gotta go first, though.
By the way, our teammate
Okay,
revived there, so hopefully they don't get jumped.
Alright, what's the trade?
Okay, I can give at best like the Artemis.
What?
I can
Listen.
give an Artemis.
Listen, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm currently live. This is not allowed, bro.
Oh, really?
This is not allowed?
This is not allowed. We can't just like let you go, because then we have to like everyone go, you know,
Wait,
bro.
we count to 3. Count to 3 and let
they're
it
like
run.
2
I
biggest
guess,
teams.
Okay, how about this? Okay.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors. If you beat me,
Okay.
you gotta keep running. If I beat you, you gotta PvP. What? You gotta 1v1 me right now.
Okay.
All right,
but
3,
if
2,
I
1,
beat
3,
you and
3,
I don't know- Wait, okay.
Right. Rock,
Do we
paper,
speak
scissors.
all the time?
Yeah, speak. Ready?
Okay.
Someone count down. Booster, count down.
Oh, you guys count
Okay.
down.
Okay. You count down. Ready?
1, 1,
I'll go check up on
2,
our teammates.
3, go.
Rock,
Paper.
Yo, you're such an idiot! Okay, keep running.
Let's go. Oh, you're gonna end me, bro.
No, I didn't say I was let you go. I was let you run. Remember, I said I was let you run. I didn't say I was let you go though.
You said keep running, not.
Yeah, I said keep running. I said I was let you keep running. Sorry, man.
Oh man.
Damn it. I still got rock paper scissors.
Andres, Willer hide is rezzed.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can't.
We res will hide.
You got the speed and.
Yeah, I got the speed. Yeah, this is gonna be. I'm catching up like pretty fast. X Luff.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh.
Wait. GG.
GG's got GG, bro. Got a lot of gold. Jesus.
Come back. Wait. Come back here. Come back here. Andre. Come back here.
What?
Andre just dropped the guy. Come here.
I have leggings for you, Booster. Thanks for lurk. Appreciate it, Claire.
We're coming to revive another person, Andres.
Jesus, dude. Okay, I can make Dash Strider 2 boots.
You just revive whoever.
Yo, is there good stuff?
We got loot here.
Wait, why are you on fire, bro? Here.
What?
You're on
I'm
fire.
not.
Booster, take this.
What?
Wait, Andres,
That's
I can
Booster.
make another revive. Do you know where it is?
Another revive? No, you can't make another one. You can only make one per game.
No, I can make one. Booster made one for me.
Wait a
Booster
damn.
made one for me.
Oh, did
I
he?
can make it. Yeah, do we have stuff though? Can we like? Oh yeah, take that if you
Yeah,
want.
anyone have
Is there
amethyst?
stuff?
Oh,
No.
wait, I just
is
dropped
there
it.
stuff
I
nearby?
just
Is
dropped
there
it.
like loot? Because I
Yo.
can revive.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
1 minute
Oh,
trash.
wait, wait,
That's what you take us.
I just got some nice.
Revive.
nice loot from
Yeah,
that.
I don't think I can craft jihad anymore.
One
Yeah, I
man's.
can't.
Wait, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Like this
revive
candy,
you.
bro. It's so worth it for me. I've got.
Wait,
some
can you
jam-
make
got
jihad's here?
apples? Anybody got apples? I can make apples.
got-
and you can
I got
Oh,
I
me
only
jihad.
have
Take it,
5
take it, take it.
gaps. Guys, we should.
I got amethyst.
Somebody just got
And
dropped
the
here.
apples.
Somebody got dropped there.
Oh, that's a little late for the amethyst, Bobby. I'll take it.
What?
Somebody
What?
got
You
dropped
gonna
in my
make
bush.
side?
I'm just going.
Come in.
Yo, wait, I'm gonna make it.
Our teammate is
Yeah,
dropping
'cause I
as well.
think
He
this
needs to
is
drop
a
on you
good
guys.
game.
'cause there's
Just
loot.
be
I
careful.
Wait, did we just get a revive again?
got
Yeah, we
some.
got another revive.
I revived him.
Yo,
Wait, speed. Oh,
we're
that's
looking good. We gotta kill a couple of those other people.
Yeah, my mystical team, my friend indicators is like slightly mad at you guys because we didn't pick
You might have gotten dropped.
fine, but it's
No?
fine. I think
Might have been a teammate, bro.
yeah, well,
Does he
need
yeah,
any armor or
I don't know
anything?
if you're in range, so
No.
you know.
Does he need anything? No.
Uh,
Okay.
Just go Booster. Wait, Booster, what's your sword? What's your sword?
Yo, does anyone got spare
Mine
armor?
sharp
Does
three.
anyone
Sharp
got
one
spare
down.
armor?
Sharp one down right there.
Yeah, but I'm.
Hey
sharp three, I'm sharp
guys,
three.
we can't split up. Like I know it's turned out well, but we literally can't split up in death.
Does anyone have shears? Anyone have shears right here?
No.
I can make shears.
Yeah, I have 41 gold. If you guys can give me apples.
Yeah, we just need to go to the trees. Go to the trees.
But cheers? Well, we need another
got
thing we
that.
need cheers for.
This way. There's some trees right here. I just need 2 heads, and I can get Death Scythe. By the way,
I have one head. I have one.
there's a
head.
guy. There's literally a guy right here. By the way, literally.
Yeah, we might be able to get him.
Shh.
Well, you might
He
have a trap.
doesn't have a helmet. He doesn't
Wait.
have a helmet.
Shh.
He's running. He's already running.
Bro. You saw us because you're talking. You're yelling, bro.
No, he saw
Hi,
us with
Joker.
his eyes.
Nah, bro. He still doesn't know. Why does he have a helmet on?
Voice comms.
Oh, okay, we're good then.
I fucking told you.
Dorp.
Okay, I'm just interested to see what people have for that match.
This guy's dead. He's gonna
Oh.
die.
Is he lagging or is that me?
He's lagging. Like, real bad.
Let me get this go because I can get a Death Scythe on it or
Alright.
whatever it's called.
Oh, you do it.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
do you want me to? Do you want to help? Do you want
No,
help?
I got him. Oh, if you want him.
I'm
Got him.
uploading. Don't worry. I'm
Apples.
I just want the gear.
You're uploading? Wait, what?
Soon.
I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. I
Save
already
the
have a
head if
script
we can make it
written.
into the revival.
Wait, who are you gonna revive? I can make Death
I have
Scythe.
another head. I have
Wait,
another
you
head.
can
I have
make
another
Death
head.
Yeah, we might want to make Death Scythe. Death Scythe would
Alright,
be good.
I made it.
Okay,
You
No.
guys know how to use it, right?
Can I use it? Can I
Andres,
use
you
it?
know how
Can I
to
use
use
it?
it, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Booster here.
Andres, you know
Booster.
how to use it,
Yeah, Booster
right?
knows how to use it. Booster knows how to use it. Booster, you know how to use it, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Booster.
know exactly.
I-
You just tap somebody, right?
Yes, Booster.
I have this-
Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure it's fully charged though. Make sure it's fully charged and you
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Does anyone
Yeah.
need this? The diamond sword?
Wait, Mystical, do you want it? It's just a normal diamond
I have 13 gaps, Booster.
Yeah,
Yo,
I
I
got
need-
7. I got 7.
I need an anvil or I need heals. Like I'm a brokey.
Okay, get apples. Get apples and take this. I just lost 14 gold there.
40.
40 gold. Wait, what? What did I even ask? I don't even know what I just asked.
Somebody
Do
has
any of you have
Midas.
spare heals, like gaps? Because I only have 5.
4 crisis. We need to target
I really care
the
if
mushroom
you do.
team in the death.
Come on, clear
Yeah,
comms.
This stuff gives apples. But I'm mining them up.
Wait,
I
everyone
don't
clear
have
comms.
Why are you
We
saying
got
clear
comms,
comms,
bro.
bro?
Don't worry.
Guys, we gotta be careful. We just gotta be.
No, it's like
careful
clear
we don't get
comms.
seen.
We gotta know what clear comms means, alright, guys? During deathmatch, you gotta clear comms. You can't just be screaming.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
Guys,
say
on
anything.
me!
Don't worry, bro. I will make myself clear.
That's what it's gonna sound like. Oh yeah, by the way, our team is definitely gonna get cleaned or something because.
Yo, what the? Okay, yo.
How many we need?
Just tee up, bro. Tee up. You're still at 11. I believe in you. You're still the best hoplite player. 8 wins by today. True.
Yeah.
But W. I gave you my gold, no? Wait, no. I gave someone my gold. I forgot who gave me gold.
I don't have it.
Give
You gave me
indicators.
my
I got your
the
gold indicator.
And there's-
I crafted like 10
yeah,
gold
we're
now.
gonna get hot targeted. You
Yeah,
guys
the
know
gold is
that.
used up, by the way. So.
That's
You have books,
true.
Booster?
Because you guys
Yes, I have
can
2.
do this.
Okay.
I've
I'm
books,
play
I've
really
books.
weird.
Craft reap, I did. Booster already crafted it.
I've books.
It's in the mid. It's right there. It's in the mid. Pick it up.
Wait, did we pick up the enchant table?
Huh?
Yeah, pick it up.
Booster.
I'll pick it
I'm
up.
talking to Booster in yes, Discord.
No, I have books. I'm set on
Okay,
everything.
1-0-0. I need to get more kills. I love Minecraft, chat. Thank you guys for all for watching, by the way. If you guys are new here, hit the follow button.
Here.
Please. I'm trying to hit partner.
Ruler high, do you need heals?
I meet every requirement but the viewer count. I think the past 2 days I've been hitting the viewer count pretty good. So if you guys are liking this hoplite streams, thank you. I got nothing else to say. Wait, there's still 3. Okay.
Yeah, the mushroom team has a Midas sword. Then they haven't died in a while, so it makes me think they have like good diamond stuff and shit.
Yo, PvP Matt, thanks for the follow.
Nice. Okay, deathmatch will begin.
Song is.
Do we just run middle at the beginning, right?
We can go for middle or kills. Tell team to go for middle. Me and you go for kills, Booster. I need you with me. Kills. You have any G heads, Booster? I have no heads, by the way. You're
I
gonna
have
need
one
to.
head. I can't craft G heads. I just have one.
Okay.
Head.
When
I gave
someone
G
G
heads
heads.
to Willer Hide. You can ask Willer Hide. I think it's better that you have it.
Okay.
Honestly,
When
you have
someone
Yo,
G
Willer Hide-
heads
Willer Hide,
with
Willer Hide.
with Reaper side from them, by the way.
You might want to give the head to Andres because he has the katana and he has no heads. Like the G head. Yeah. You guys can just yeah. You're gonna get a head from Willer Hide at the beginning of the.
But just tell him to me. Okay, I see him. I think I see him. Yo,
yeah,
Zach,
by
let's
the
follow.
way, me and Andres
What's up,
go for kills. You guys rush middle, okay?
Clem, welcome, guys. I was killed by him. By who?
Chill.
Yeah.
By me.
Chill. As long as they don't rush
Sorry.
me, though, 'cause I don't
I'll
wanna
give you
get,
G
like,
head. Andre's
like
gonna start.
two.
Bet.
Alright, I
Welcome,
don't.
guys.
Go up to the right.
Welcome, chat.
Hey,
Welcome,
rush
chat.
mid,
What's up,
rush
chat?
mid.
What's up, chat?
It's to the right. It's to the right.
Hard
right.
rush mid. Hard rush mid.
Guys,
Don't
my
We need the
me
gaps for mid.
dirty.
We have no healing. We need to rush
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Zero
rush it.
healing. We have 0 healing. All right.
Oh yeah, guys, we have 0.
Yeah, I have
Run.
0 healing.
Oh, see left.
Yeah,
Who's sorry?
Andres
Yeah.
have 0 healing.
Wait,
They're running
wait,
directly
the-
at us?
the Katana
From
team,
the left?
Katana team.
Oh,
they're
what's
running
risk?
around.
With him.
Yeah, wait, I can help you though. I have shot
Hold
4.
Wait, yeah, just yeah. In that case.
Yeah, I'll just push.
Treat me like that.
Apparently there's a 4 diamond minders on our other team.
Uh-oh.
Andres, come to me.
Oh, Booster, I'm killing someone. You need help, Booster? I see him.
Guys, help indicators. Wait, oh
my god, full diamond.
Guys, I might die.
Yo, I'm getting hard targeted.
What is happening? You have 4.
Yeah, I know.
That guy. He has katana.
Oh my god, sharp 5! Sharp 10, I mean.
What? You
That-
have sharp 10?
Dude, that guy has sharp something. Wow. I also think he has some sort of hack client or just some
Back away, back away,
insane
back away.
macros. Cause
They're-
his combos
they're
just
moving.
didn't miss and he like did 2 360s
How do
on
we do
me.
this? We lost
Run,
our-
run.
Shit,
I don't know
he just
what
damaged.
this guy's
I'm
on.
not gonna
Stay
lie.
alive. You stay alive.
That guy's either really good or something's on. Up
Oh,
and
you damaged
down.
Andres can clean. Andres can clean.
He's on 30 by the way. Yeah, you're 1v1ing him. He's
Yep.
on 26.
Go on.
Yo.
The Artemis guy is on. No, the Midas guy is on 37. He's full again.
Watch out, Andres, watch out. Do you have spare
They're
heals?
coming.
Do you have spare heals? They're coming. They're coming.
He's
Do you
full.
have
He's
spare
full.
heals?
He's full. He's pretty up as well. He's pretty up as well. There's another full diamond guy coming in with a scythe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're on the same. Yeah, they're on the same team as well.
I need to, oh my god, it's
Yeah, it's just raps, dude. Where's the other guy? Like, I just got quick drop by a fucking
you
Midas.
can, yeah. I mean, I tried to kill someone, but
No,
one of his teammates.
I just didn't get any breathing room. The Midas guy just just 100 to 0 me in like 2 seconds. I don't know what was up with that guy.
There's one on me. Death side, I'm dead, bro. Like, where's this other guy at? Aldi worker, like.
Oh, he came down. He's coming to help. He's coming to help. Turn. You're 1v1. You're 1v1 against this guy. He
Yeah,
is on
bitch.
46. Yeah, that's crazy. And he has dogs. 32, 29.
Just dead.
He's millering you.
Like, alright, just.
Oh, unfortunate. Yeah, but like the team with 2 full diamonds, man, and like 4 legendary weapons. Is just
Dude, it's just like, what the fuck, dude?
I don't know. I just got a quick drop. My bad. We need ant. We need ant. We need ant. We need ant. Yeah, 18 kills. Fuck. 18 kills my ass, bro.
Like,
18 kills my ass. Turn off your hacks. Turn off your hacks. That's
oh, he's on the leaderboard, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
cheating.
yeah. He's just really good because he just destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed.
He's not on the leaderboard, what? He said ping him. Where's my friend? Yeah, he's not cheating.
Yeah, he's just not. He's just really good.
He's in the lobby?
I don't know. I just got like, I don't know. I don't even know what I can do in that.
You can't 1v1 someone with Midas. He was just like, 2-tapping. You just gotta
No,
run away.
I was
Our
jumping on him
teammates.
from I was jumping on him from behind. I had some teammates with me, and then they just left. Like,
Yeah, but our teammates got dropped by him. Like,
yeah, exactly.
and then this like it just upgrades to sharp and just yeah.
Unfortunate.
GG's,
I don't
Chris.
even know what we even do in that situation. Like, they have 2 full diamonds.
That's 1 full diamond. I was just killing
No,
one, but everyone just dropped and I couldn't kill him anymore.
Yeah, but no, they had 2 full diamonds. Maybe the other guy got full diamond after he looted me or something.
Yeah, he got full diamond like that. Oh, it ink. That's...
Unfortunate.
Andres,
Where's
I'm back now.
Slash hub, right? Slash hub,
Yes,
right?
yeah. Please don't ego me. I'm egoing you. I'm gonna ego you. It's fine. Chill. It's fine. It's just a game. I only need 8 more wins to end this stream. I got it. It's fine. I added him, but we'll see. What's up, Green Rider? You low-key crazy? Thank you. Unders, you're egoing me like Toasty? No way. Wait, who's Toasty? It's your life for another 8 hours of gameplay? I know.
The match just takes so long as well, dude.
I get.
And then deathmatch comes, and then it turns out there's a team that was like shredding, and they have so much loot, you know. I'm not gonna lie. I need to get better, bro. I don't even feel like I'm that bad. I just get outgeared every time. Like, I hit the same crits as him, and then I'm on like.
What should I to win? Well, currently I don't have no strats to win.
Yeah.
I can't win. I don't know the strat anymore. It's just like there's like new strats every day. I'll be honest with you. Yo, what sharpness do you have, Chris?
Maybe offense is bad. Who knows?
No, offense is not bad. Yes, sharp 10. Yeah, okay. Holy shit.
He had sharp 10.
How lucky are you? Like what?
Got. Like, bro, of course. I mean, he had 18 kills, but like that. That's still that's higher than.
And there's like you just strengthen my armor. That's it. Like I can't anything.
Yeah, he probably just got 5 kills early, and then all those 5 kills gave him sharpness, and then nobody can do anything against him. That's why he just got so many kills. Because like I got dropped instantly, and I feel like I just didn't even get crit. I just got regular swiped. Did you have prod 2, Andres?
Yes.
Yeah, because I had 2 prod 1s and then prod 2. I didn't have enough levels.
Oh my god, bro. Why does? Oh my god, bro. Why do you gotta leave group chat? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I swear to God, if you ever just leave all the group chats we've ever made, by the way, my chat messages are fucking gonna go
Dude,
crazy.
I know exactly what you mean. Yellow has done that. I feel like like everybody in our group has just done that once or twice. It's
What?
so
Making a
annoying.
damn new lobby? Like,
No, it just fills an entire chat with leave messages. Just don't leave, man. Just don't leave.
Unjust arrow. We're waiting. And said to ping him when we're ready.
Yeah, we pinged them, bro.
Probably busy, maybe? You think he's busy?
I have no idea.
Ant! Ding donk, ant! Ant! Ding donk, ant! Everyone ants, ping him. I just dropped off the leaderboards, bro. Holy shit, I just not get off either, bro. That's Iser. Yeah. 74 games, 28 solo wins. God damn. Yo, what's up, Valids? Hello. Bornart, what's up? There's any idea why leaderboards don't stop to team? You gotta like stand in them. Let's show you. Stand inside, like right here. Yeah, Chris is crazy with Midas. There you go. You gotta stand inside of it and click on it. Thanks for the screen, ain't a problem. Bitch. We just like, oh my god, my fucking chain is still on. I just remember that. Dink donk. Wait, even asked to invite them to your team, but you egoed their message. Wait, really? Got like shark 20. Damn, what the fuck? What's up? What's up, gifting? Wag, yeah, wag. Chat, what's on the menu today for lunch? Huh? What should we eat for lunch? I already ate my oats. Pretty good.
Honestly.
What? What'd you say? Eat some nuts?
Honestly, pretty good, dude. Pretty refreshing. You should try something.
Oh wait, I think party invite and trust. Did you just log on?
I have no idea. I messaged him.
Wait, does chat? The lobby kicks you after a while, right?
He might be in a game. Who knows?
He's AFK in the lobby. Oh shit.
Oh, what if he's just taking a big shit right now?
Okay, yo.
I mean, that's a possibility. What do you mean?
I mean, it is a possibility. You should ask him.
Okay. Are you taking?
You got 3 notches that game? What the fuck?
3 notches. That's crazy, bro. So even if we were any close to dropping him in the deathmatch, he would have just not dropped. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's cool though. It's fine.
I don't think I can do anything against that, buddy. Wait, why don't we rush Prot 3? With defense, we can probably do the same thing as with the shot.
It's just like not a... I don't know. It's just like not it, you know?
You put it on. No, but full Prot 3. What do you mean not it? I feel like that's good.
No, I would rather have a sharp 3 diamond and quick drop someone or drop someone than to have a
Yeah, but like if we rush Dragon Katanas, then we just rush Prot 3, right? And then we can drop somebody without even taking damage. It's like...
Okay. No, I wouldn't do Prot 3.
Actually, maybe trade Prot 4 from villagers, you know?
For what?
From villagers, because you can eat candy to get the hero of the village and decrease the prices. So even if you get like 40 emeralds, you could probably...
I feel like the strat regardless is always just rush nether and get like anything you can. Like that's like you just really can't bypass rushing nether because you either get like a katana, you can get like a full diamond for basically from it almost.
Yeah, because
gold,
if
apples.
Nether, if somebody gets like iron for you, right? We can just rush nether mine quartz until we have enough XP combined with the bottles for full prod 2, and then we just put prod 3 on.
What is-
We have Dragon Katana. It's easy, you know.
Why does Bob
I
show
feel
up?
like that could be a
Or
good strat.
infrastructure? Why is my even screwed?
Bro, swear to God. What is that?
Adam, now. You Adam.
I messaged him in the DM to get on. I don't know. I just assumed that he had the.
He might be like actually people pooping.
Yeah, he might be.
Try if you see your name, let me know. Dude, look how clean my friends list is, chat. Like literally, look how clean it is. Okay. Chat, should I remove swirls? Yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, why do you have such a big friends list, dude?
Should I remove people right now? No, I'm not removing swirls, bro. Swirls a goat. All right, I'm gonna remove. I don't know who I can remove. Age of the Bold. Mid. I know everyone here though. Remove Doozum? No. Let me see. Yeah, it's just not responding. Chat, what are our thoughts on what Ampharos is doing right now?
Bro, do you think they know?
Huh? Maybe. Chad might know. Shitting. Okay. I for what? No. I have so many people that already like. Yeah. I don't even got time. Well, there you go, Pippi. Oh fuck. I don't even know what I should eat today. Fuck. I'm not even like. Loki might not even eat anything. He Yeah, I'm going. Peace out, Pippi. I mean, I'm gonna do teams and waiting. I'm just waiting for him to log on. Waiting for log on. He said Adam, so maybe he's like doing something. I don't want to start. You know. Oh fuck. Where's Booster? Not here. I'm curious. Oh, he's right here.
What's happening?
Nothing.
Are we playing another one while we wait for Ant or no?
What happened?
Are we playing another one while we're waiting for Ant or no?
Do you want to wait? I mean, we can get someone else now.
We could just, yeah, true, we can. Who are we getting?
I like people that messaged me already. Let's see. Oh. Okay, is this guy asked me earlier? Andre's drink up. Sorry, I bet. All right. Hi, Bri. I'm trying to. This guy. You know today's AJ's birthday, by the way.
Who? AJ's?
Yeah.
Who the hell is AJ, bro? Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Who's AJ?
Wait, I know we can invite actually.
Who? Are you inviting Deb?
Close actually.
No, what you're asking Yellow.
No, close actually. No. You're actually close to where it says Dev.
Here?
Close.
Well, here's how. Is it Pablo?
No.
Dude, What do you mean close? With
You're on the same track when you said Kier.
Bro, is it just somebody who has a Kieran Dev skin?
Close.
Bro, I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, it's not even close, is it?
Are you dumb? Like, hello? Chat, if you guys guess who it is and it's not Kier, I'll give you guys like literally like $1 or something.
Dude, I don't know, Jack? Bubba?
No, it's not one of the color crew.
Then how is it close?
Are you fucking stupid?
I'm not.
What
I don't know
color's
what you're
Kier?
talking about, bro.
What color's Kier?
Red.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Now finish it.
Redunes?
Yes, dude. Holy shit. God
Bro,
damn.
that guy only trolls. What do you mean? He's gonna throw all our matches.
He's not. He does not troll.
He trolls, bro.
Bro, he got more kills than you last game. What are you talking about? Last time we teamed.
Yeah, but I let him.
Okay, like that's just not true. Bro, I had like
so true. What do you
5
mean?
times your kill count. Like what? Didn't you have one kill?
Five
You had
times
8.
my kill count. I mean, 5 times 0 is just 0. So you know, like.
Well, I'm asking like 3 people right now. See, first one to respond.
What's up, gamers?
Oh, never
Oh my God,
mind.
Ant is back. Finally, dude.
Sorry.
Be honest.
Partially
were you
fell
shitting?
asleep.
Yeah, you fell asleep?
Wait, what?
Sort of.
Uh.
Bro, I was up till like 2 a.m. last night playing.
Oh, loving it too. Oh my gosh.
Hey, we
No
got we got our
way.
wins in.
Okay. Yeah, that game was that we had just had a rough game. Someone had Sharpton Midas.
Yeah, I got like quick draw. I got
A sharp, huh?
100 to 0
yeah, Sharpton
in like 2
Midas.
seconds. Dude, I got 100 to 0 in like 2 seconds and I didn't even get crit. I don't think it was that strong.
What
Which is
I gotta it's not like me logging to the server, bro.
happened?
He's saying, hold on, I need to like try a different IP.
Bet.
Bet.
I just keep getting. Oh wait.
Server
Keep
crashed?
shifting,
I
hold
think
on.
someone said the server crashed. I don't think so.
Oh,
I mean,
maybe.
wait, actually, no one's moving. Maybe. Oh, I think I actually did.
Rushing Tim the Enchanter, guys. Thoughts?
No, it didn't. Wait, what?
Tim the Enchanter.
Yeah.
I ain't rushing Timmy, bro.
Bro, low key, Tim the Enchanter and Grimoire aren't that hard to get.
I think Tim the Enchanter is only worth it if you're gonna put it on a bow, because there's so many things that can go wrong with the sword.
You get bait of
No, but, like,
Anthropod
what
Smite.
about, like a diamond chestplate? You can get prop.
Fire prod, prod,
Bro, there's like a
prod.
blast protection like fucking
Okay,
5 on
that's
its just
true,
plate.
that's true, actually, yeah, that's true.
I think you always want to get a bow for Tim the Enchanter if you're gonna use
Yeah,
it.
because all you can really get is power and flame and punch. I mean, the worst that can happen, you get punched too, and that's it. Like that's like
I
actually.
mean, is that really bad though?
Yeah.
I feel like punch is
Wait,
pretty
no,
fucking
yeah, getting
annoying.
somebody off you, yeah, that's
That's true, actually, yeah. But then again, sometimes the 1.20 KB is just fucking garbage. You don't take any KB.
Wait.
Just
Yeah.
Is Grimoire good if it needs like 4 diamonds then?
yeah, it's fire. It's free fire.
It's free fire. It's really good for fire if you can get it, but you do need like 4 diamonds. So.
It's just better to trade though, right? It's easier to trade. Because the diamonds is just not always given, but trading you can pretty much every single time and get it every single time. It just takes more time sometimes, and sometimes.
You can get what every single time from trading.
All right.
Bro,
You're
it's
not-
not letting me log into the
It's not
fucking
like
server.
that just happened yesterday. I'll be waiting. Don't worry.
Hold on, let me restart. Maybe it's a game restart angle.
And then after that, you restart your whole PC. Maybe it's your PC.
And then
Yeah,
after
maybe it's
that,
a
just the
PC
router.
restart
And
angle.
then you gotta restart your internet. And then you just gotta just
Yeah.
restart life, honestly, at that point. 'Cause you can't log on.
Honestly.
Excuse me.
Wait, where's my phone at? Fuck. Hold on. I might be getting like crazy calls right now. Like,
Who is?
thanks.
Oof. You can't do that. Really?
Why did I get an email from Taco Bell? What the fuck? Today is Taco Bell's anniversary. No way. That shit gives me diarrhea. Wait, Booster, did you not try it? Wait.
Try what? Taco Bell? No, I didn't. I didn't. Hello?
Yeah, when you're in America, do you try Taco Bell?
No. I was told that it's mid.
It's not even mid. It's like below mid. It's like actual F tier food. No troll.
Yeah, then why is it still a thing?
Huh?
Why is it so addictive?
It's a fast food chain.
Yeah, but not all fast food chains are good, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But like some
Like,
people.
McDonald's used to be so much better, by the way.
Yeah, what happened to it? They kind of fell
Wait,
off.
hold
No.
on, I'm setting man. Hold on.
Oh. There you go. You're in.
Bro, wait, where the fuck am I?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in like some kind of like lobby thing. Lobby.
Oh, you're in the hub lobby, like in the
The lobby.
yeah, that one. Stop!
Where the fuck do I leave?
Fuck. Yeah, you're just gonna get TP'd in a bit. The server's like really laggy, by the way. So.
A timed hour. You fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Try again.
Bro.
No, this lobby's like actually going through it right now. Wait, is now a good time to like start thinking about Christmas? I want to watch that one movie with Jackson. What's it called? Nightmare Before Christmas. Again, I fucking love that movie. Please don't go. Yeah, lobbies are glitchy. Don't relog anyone. Damn, I'm fucking sleepy again, bro. Goddamn. Yeah. Upgrade your perks. I'm trying to. I don't know. Oh fuck! I just might accidentally hit solo.
Oh my god,
we're good.
we're in?
No, we're not.
Holy
Right.
shit!
Played THC.
Perks.
Wait, are you guys in?
No. What?
Wait, is Zanfrost in?
No.
No.
Are you
Not
in?
letting me join.
Shows that, yeah, I'm in. It shows that Andres
Slash
is
up.
in.
Slash up. Slash up.
Yeah, Andres,
You know what? I
can
think I
join.
might have actually tried to queue me up for a game. Yep, I got kicked. And it turned an error in your connection. Oh, I think server just dedged.
Nah, mine is still alive and it's fine. And nothing.
What lobby you in?
Nice. Lobby? How do I check my lobby?
Looks like under the sheet on a game.
How do
Oh,
I-
anyway, anyone join back? Chat, no one real log. Oh shit, I think no, it actually might have dedged. 907, 908, 907, 910.
You guys good, bro?
No. Oh, try restarting your launcher. Hold up.
You guys, while the server gets back up, you wanna play some Apex?
No, we're not playing Apex, bro.
Bro, a new season just launched, dude.
A new
We
season
are
just
not
launched.
on mid.
League of.
Bro, and you probably didn't even install the update.
I
yet, did
didn't,
you?
bro. I didn't.
You loser. Someone was playing.
Isn't
Alright,
it weird?
fellas, up on island.
All right, a second. Me log. I'm relogging my Minecraft.
How do you change the lobbies?
You just change it.
Lobby selector. Ooh. I'm in. It doesn't even tell me you the number. It's just the first one, I guess.
What? Apparently, a big Minecraft server host is being hit off, bruh. Oh, is it that one? The same thing? What's it called? Fuck, I forgot that hosting company. There's a big hosting company that just oh, it gets hit off for some reason.
Interesting. Well, that would do it.
GCP Shield. Oh. Like why? Like who? Like why are people so fucking weird?
What do you mean?
Like why do people DDoS type of deal? Yeah.
I don't think it's DDoSing. I think these guys have. Maybe it is actually. Like what?
Yeah,
else
because the
does
server
it
is
have?
lagging, so it's definitely like someone tried to hit it. You know when the server launched, they some
But,
like
why do people DDoS? That's my question.
that's literally what I just asked. Apparently, not apparently.
The only logical explanation I would see for DDoSing is people who fix DDoSing. would cause DDoSing to make sure
To prevent
that they-
DDoSing, right?
Yeah, to prevent DDoSing, so that's like a cycle of money, you know.
Yeah.
And they do it from time to time, but like, what if it has not actually it?
Well,
It's
what's
genuinely somebody
MCC?
who's so bored that they're DDoSing, you know? Wait, what if like there's a DDoSing server where you can pay somebody to DDoS something, and a kid is just so mad that he lost, he's paying somebody to DDoS the server?
I mean that. Okay, I mean that's a way to put it. Yeah, that's probably
Imagine though.
not what's happening, but yo, what is this
Booster
song?
not online.
Booster,
I
get
am
your ass
online.
on
Wait, let me
MCCI.
find Nick. I'm online right now.
MCCI. We can't
Wait,
join.
are you guys doing MCCI?
Yeah, because we can't
We
join.
can't play HOPLITE.
I mean, I'm on HOPLITE. Let me just log off and log back on. Yeah, I can join just fine, guys. What's happening?
Wait, what?
Maybe it's
Yeah, I'm
an
doing
NA
just fine.
thing.
It probably is, yeah. Like, the server isn't even lagging for me. Okay, let me get on Island.
I can try and get. Oh, I'll try and get on one more time.
Yeah, try.
Maybe it's been fit. Checking the server.
Look. I'll try to log on. Yeah, the server just lost 150 players. I think it's actually going through it right now. Netherite potatoes? No.
Island is so long.
Oh wait, encrypting. Hold up.
I
Not
go
even
through like
joining.
encrypting the joining world, and then I usually time out.
I think you can get back on HOPLITE again? I don't think so.
What if it's just a server competitor, you know? Like Hypixel DDoSing, you know? Probably have money for it.
Yeah, I got disconnected after like timing out for.
Yeah, I'm on an island.
You're not
Yeah,
lagging?
just
Like the one time I got in, it didn't even send me to the fucking lobby. It just like sent me in the other lobby and then timed me out. You know, island.
Move to Europe, honestly.
Get on MCCI, get on MCCI, get on MCCI. We play Sky Battle. Prices are PvP.
I'm on.
True. Booster needs that.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, you're not wrong. I used to be so much better, man. What happened? Like, I'm getting
happened?
better
You
now that I'm
washed
playing
now?
HOPLITE, though. I was like,
This dude wants to duo with me and Block Wars and grief me.
bro, you're the one who asked me, dude, after I carried this man to Mayhem.
Uh-huh.
No, wait, we won
Mayhem.
Mayhem, right? No, Pandora's box. We won Pandora's box, and then this man, like, right after, just like, yo, you want to queue up for Block Wars, get another dub? Because he knows I'm going to carry him, you know? Like, he
We
he
won
knows.
Pandora's together? Oh, we did win
Yeah,
Pandora's
but-
together.
Yeah. And then right after, you hit me out, like, yo, let's play Block Wars, get another
Yeah, then
dub.
you're like, yeah, sorry, I'm busy, I can't sign up, and then that turned
Yeah,
out to be
bitch,
just
you
a fucking
told him to fuck
lie.
off. Yeah, that's what I did.
You
Dude,
did, but then
know
that was a
what's funny?
fucking
You know what's
lie.
funny?
You could sign up. You
Yeah,
just...
it turns out I could sign up because I was not gonna be away on the weekend. I was gonna be away before the weekend, and Ants just got benched, which was funny.
Well, it worked out, yeah, because I got benched anyways.
Yeah.
Well, good, we'll go to next time.
Join Mayhem, join Mayhem, join Mayhem, join Mayhem, join Mayhem, join
Because
I have
Mayhem.
some
I am in
people that are
Mayhem.
like
They are?
Discord
I
I
now.
have some I have some people that are like not that skilled at Minecraft, who are in Block Wars, who are gonna put me down. So just put me down, and we might secure like a
Okay, I was gonna write them to carry.
Yeah,
so
we
you
can,
to carry
I can be
them.
the mid carry, and then you can be the top carry, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
We don't get a winning team, but at least we get into the event, you know? Still win.
We could have a winning team, so.
Booster, you
Yo,
suck.
revive me.
Yeah, reviving you. Yep, following. Yep.
revive me.
Yo.
I forgot there's no res in this game mode, dude.
I really like the res mode in HOPLITE. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty broken as well, because if you like have 5 teammates
You
left,
can't revive like all everyone though. You can only use one at a game.
No. I got one
No,
of
but
them.
we revived 2 people in the previous game. It's just
I revived someone, then you revived someone. Remember?
Hunter's up to you.
no.
Also,
My teammate, like our teammate crafted some. Yeah, maybe it was you who crafted the res guy, and I crafted the res thing.
Andre, did you play with Stu in Mayhem?
Yeah, I played with ones. Yeah, but the thing is though, they
What's your
messed up the
boss,
team so
though?
bad though, because like for some reason they only okay. So I've only ever played 2 Mayhems, right? And the first one, no one in our team played Mayhem in, like ever, and we were told not to VOD review because it was be like new game, like new maps and everything. So it was me, Booster, and like two other people, two other Bedrock
We
players.
just straight up automatically get last place in one of the events because it's
Yeah.
just pure water view, and it was an old map as well. Like it was the Ace Race thing, but old map. You know?
Right.
Bro.
So we're just there like literally clueless, and then so we just obviously lose, right? We got like 7 players or something, and then so then next Mayhem they put me with Stuart and 2 other people that I've never joined Mayhem as well. So it's like
Wait, was it
I'm-
Stu's first Mayhem or no?
well basically yeah, he's been in Mayhems before, but it was like obviously the game modes changed, so
Yeah.
so it's
And
basically
your second time.
yeah,
which
and my
is
second
not
time. So
true,
it was literally like me telling everyone how to play again. It was really like yeah, that was
and
bad.
you barely know as well because you've been there
Yeah,
only once,
exactly.
you know, so it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know
Well,
what's happening with the team management in that event, bro. Those guys
And
are trolling.
Maybe the fire was gonna put together because I haven't
then-
played before.
And just to put an
Other than
icing on
this
top, there was Kill Awesome and someone else that's played every single one of the events, by the way. So I mean, it was just like wraps from there.
That's sure.
Bench those guys. Get Anton.
I hope
I
so.
think Mayhem got
I am
food.
in the Discord, but
Yeah, and food and CPK, right? So some new fresh meat.
yeah.
Let's go.
Yep.
You
know
like
they-
duo with people and that boost for
Yeah.
boost for-
You can do it with anyone. Okay,
What
Booster
the
is fucking
fuck?
toxic. Booster is fucking toxic. It's crazy.
I didn't even see that you ripped the block.
Oh motherfucker. Okay, I just I just
Yeah,
like
I got
okay.
it, don't worry.
Oh, so close, so close, so close, so close. Holy shit, bro.
I saw what you did. I saw what you did.
Yeah.
Bro, and you jumped in that hole before I managed to place any blocks there. So you like, that was unfortunate. I was trying
I
to
didn't
place
see
the
that
other
you
guy.
mined it. You were like in
Yeah, I
front
was
of me. I
trying to
just didn't
place
see
the other guy
it.
in front of us. Go next, go next, go next. Nah, guys, I don't troll. I don't troll.
I'm so back. Sup, swirls. 2 out of 10. Okay.
Wait, didn't you remove swirls from your friends list?
No, I did not move. No, it was a troll.
I think
Hi,
you did.
swirls.
You said like, yo, should I remove
I was like, yo,
swirls?
chat, do I remove swirls from my friends list? And all my chat said, yeah. I was like, yeah, you guys thought so. Ha. What's up, swirls?
Oh my god, squirrels.
Swirls is also a fraud.
Just like Amazon.
All right,
Yeah,
all
I'm
right,
the
yeah, we're
fraud
trolling ahead,
booster.
yeah.
We're all frauds here.
Christopher, how many MTCs have you won?
Oh.
Bro, I've not been in a canon MCC. I've been in a ripoff.
Oh, so you're like a freebie one and you lost, bro.
Moderated event, bro.
Bro was in like the fucking MCC rookies event and didn't get a win.
Ooh.
That's even crazier right here. Self-reporting.
And to top it off,
Not even
his
rookies,
whole
bro.
team got
It's
first,
worse than
second, and
rookies.
third. Guess what place he got? 8th place
did he get?
must stink. Oof.
Nah. He
Imagine,
got carried.
imagine getting carried.
Crazy.
Just kill the guys. Kill the guys. Guys, I swear to God, like if the like games like
What game mode boost for?
the game like what is it called?
Dodgeball?
No, send some
Oh.
time. If it wasn't a team game, like if the points weren't shared, I would have gotten higher than all of those guys. Kira literally didn't even put in his points, and I got half of my team's points, bro. Like, and they're saying that I got carried,
Who's
but
running
I
home?
got them all their points for them to place in the top 4. Like, come on, man. Come on. Ooh.
By the way, Swirl says, hey, Anfrost, heart eyes, and boost for you suck.
God, I swirls. Boost for does suck. Let's
So
try
true.
boost for swirls.
Bro, Swirl's his ass. What do you mean?
That's crazy.
What's up, Bri-Fi? I still haven't got a YouTube rank, by the way. It's been 2 weeks since I applied. Or, oh, no, it's been 1 week, actually.
It's unlucky.
I think Noxious been mad busy, right? I've heard people.
What's
Yeah.
happening in this game? Is there a one? Oh, there's a 3.
Bro, we're all fucking dead. What's happening?
You gotta fucking clutch up. If you don't clutch up, oh. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, and there's another guy coming to clean. But you don't care. Boost with the combo. Boost at 1-2. Oh. You're going for the bow shot. Oh my. No, we're not done with HOPLITE. We're just waiting for the server to come back up.
You can go check if you want, Andres.
Okay. That works. Okay. I'll check. That's dude. Oh my god. 688 players. Yeah. Oh yeah, can you just check for me, Wheelhide? Just let me know when it's back up. You're already logged into MCC Island. What? No, it's not up.
I'm ass! Sorry. That's just...
It's not up yet. It's not up yet. Fuck. Failed to log in.
My team is ass. Where did my team go?
Well,
where did my team go, bro?
Hold on, I can't log in.
Back up?
Wait. It's actually might be. It just got like 80 players back. No. It just lost 500 players.
Mask? Is that the mask that you get like at the end of completing the entire purple thing?
I'm in right now.
No. I think it's just like I don't know.
It's just a mask. Okay,
Following map each of the event 15 supposes.
Wait, is Andre just not on right now?
I'm literally on right now.
He's online.
Oh, okay.
Before it crashed, yeah. Just don't relog. An actual break.
Do the wins in this count for you, Andres?
No. I wish. No. Anyway, got mad at me. I said, do Among Us wins count? And they're like, no. I was like, okay.
Dude, when is Among Us, bro?
Didn't Five say he's hosting one soon?
Five asked in the Discord if people want to do it like twice a week, and then he just... I haven't seen him like on Discord since. He's just been grinding League 24/7. And don't you play with him?
Yeah.
Holy shit. He's addicted. He's addicted. His schedule is like backwards because every time I wake up in the morning and go like work out and stuff, he's just still online. So like right now he's probably sleeping, right?
Wait, what?
Probably.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You saw Bonker. Yeah, bowling. Holy shit. I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I have to do with life if I can't play HOPLITE.
True, honestly.
There are people here?
My life is all... Hello. I got you, Booster.
Got him. You stole the...
I mean, I fucking comboed like 3 times. What do you mean stole?
You're on me as a guy with diamond sword. I need your help, guys.
I'm coming back.
I need a diamond. I need diamond swords as well, then.
I only have a stone sword. I don't know where you got it, but...
I have an iron sword.
I have a stone sword, dude.
This purple team over here, I just don't know. There's more than there are.
Wait.
Our team. We're just gonna middle, I guess.
I'm coming. You good? Oh, you're good.
I mean, I'm
There's
chilling.
yo, Andres, turn.
Oh
turn,
shit! I see him.
Turn. Andres, turn.
Yeah.
There's a diamond sword guy here.
That would be the guy that was on me.
Oh, you just juked me out. Wow. It's back. I'm being told it's back. But okay, after this game.
W.
I pop it.
I popped the totem. It didn't work.
I'm ass.
I'm logging out. Okay, I just fucking okay. Just threw that.
We're logging
Alright, since my team is dead.
Willerhide, I swear.
Okay.
I think you might be trolling Willerhide because it's looking like it's not. Actually, yeah, it actually might be. Yeah, quick. Connecting the server? No, it's on.
For me, it's just joining world, then.
We get water, but it's like, yeah, I'm encrypting. It's back. Everyone's joining out. Everyone's trying to join back at the same time, so probably like happening. It's like we're back. Water.
Yo, Anfros, are you winning?
Killed the guy, got mid. I'm sorry when Yeah.
Let's go.
I died. Never mind.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. They don't know that. You should have just claimed that you won, dude. Like stream doesn't know.
Yeah. It's like on joining world. I feel like it's not back yet.
Yeah, it's just not.
We're just getting lied to.
I mean, the player count is just like going slowly back up, but I feel like we just should just wait until people log back on.
Also, just made a sandwich.
By the way, Ant, are you in Wipeout?
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
I feel like everyone is in my house, dude.
On the practice server?
No, I should probably go on because I have my thing in
Dude,
2 days.
I don't know how I'm gonna complete the obstacles if they're the same difficulty. Like they said that there's only one of the obstacles that is on the practice server that is like easier in the main event, but everything else is similar difficulty. And holy shit, do all of them just look very finicky, glitchy and stuff. It's just you have to stare at the obstacle for 20 minutes before you can even attempt to figure out the pattern, you know?
Mm-hmm. I got in the one hub area, but then we good.
Wait, yeah, you won?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, left there was able to wait, what? What's happened to the server? What the hell?
I don't know. I got timed out again.
So you
I don't think it's fixed, bro.
What?
Might be doomed.
Back to MC side we go.
All good.
Wait, I'm in. Wait, everyone said they're in. Everyone said they're in. Hold on.
Everybody's
My
pressing
They're
it
just
in, bro.
trolling you, dude. Oh my god.
Stop, guys. Stop trolling. No way, alright?
This is crazy.
No.
Man is so addicted that every time somebody says I'm in, he just believes it.
And the player count is actively going down. There's no way you guys are getting fucking in, bro. I refuse to believe
I'm
it.
in. Wait.
This man. You're coping, bro.
No, Compro's not troll. Compro's in.
Wait, Audrey, you're West Coast, right?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Audrey, that is a West Coast thing where you just can't get in.
Wait, you're West Coast too?
Uh-huh.
You
I was
guys
in
are
Cali.
ass, bro.
What, what?
You're ass, dude. Yeah,
Oh, you're in
let me
Cali?
play solo, actually.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Let me play a solo real quick, actually. Wait, 1 second, guys. 1 second, guys.
I live in Sacramento. I'm like Northern California.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
Northern.
One of my daily quests where I have to survive longer than 50% of players in 3 separate games hasn't gotten a single completion because I have just died and gotten revived.
Why are you yapping, bro?
Some of my quests just straight up don't work. Like I'll complete the requirements for them and they don't update. I don't get it.
Which ones?
Like survive like more than 50% of the players in 3 games. I know
Dude,
my ass did that and it didn't give it to me.
Sometimes I genuinely think that the way the quests work is just like you have to place in a certain placement because like sometimes my 50% of player survival only completes after like I place specifically like 27th out of 60, you know? And I don't know why.
Well, also like I fucking like I'll craft like the unique weapons. So that's a quest for that, and it just won't go towards my total. I don't get it.
All right.
That's weird.
I'm trying to play right now because I want to finish the Halloween like event items. I want to get those.
Oh, my last one already.
I don't know. I think the service so far.
Go back to
Can't lie.
go, yeah. Chat.
Back to Island we go, bro.
Chat. When there's
I
1,000
think it is
players,
West Coast thing.
let me know.
When there's 1,000 players, let me know.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Maybe we can just strategize right now. Make strategies, guys. What strategies should we make?
Huh?
What strategies to make? We get Dragon Town every game and win.
True. I mean, that's pretty easy to get, to be honest. I feel like that's just the easiest weapon to get at this point.
It's very easy to get, and it's the most working weapon in the game. So
yeah, and
all
then
good.
at the same time, we could get Mjolnir as well.
Yeah, if you get lucky and spread.
I mean, at that point, we can just get Enderbow, and also get just
And
Grimoire.
Enderbow just borderline useless right now.
Yeah, OP as hell.
Wait, I don't even see the wait. The Enderbow is just not in the legendary thing.
They nerfed it. They nerfed it.
Well,
no, but it's just not here.
It might be disabled right now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they hella nerfed it though, because the pearl it just TPs you now. You can't TP back. So basically, it's A pearl
So
on
it's just a
cooldown.
pearl.
I mean, it's still really good. Artemis is. I think Artemis is probably better, but like it's not bad as excuses. Like,
Dude, the Artemis Lightning genuinely still does a lot of damage.
yeah, Artemis Lightning does do a shit ton of damage for no reason.
It's just like Mjolnir, bro.
Yo,
Artemis-
guys, I got jumped and my team is not here. To let me out.
Oh, I'm not on MCCI, guys. Wait, let me get on. My bad.
You're all good.
Holy shit, I'm good. I was with like 3
Yeah,
guys.
I feel like what? Where?
Uh-oh.
This guy levied to me? Are you fucking kidding?
Ow. Wait, I just 4 heart. Is it? It actually might be power bows. Holy shit.
It probably is power bows, bro.
All right. Okay. All right. Uh-huh.
Andre just died?
No. The fuck?
That's crazy.
Are you on, Booster? Get on, get on, get on.
I'm on. This is just do the list, bro.
Stop.
You can just see the party on your
Yeah, that's why I like. That's why I like. Yeah, but if you slash party on HOPLITE, you can see like everyone's in your party.
What do you mean? That everybody's in your party?
Like, yeah, you can see everyone's in your party. You can just kick them. Hi, Mads.
You can just go on the. You have an item for like friends and party thing. You can just go on that. You don't even need to type anything.
Yeah, but like if you're in game and you want to kick someone from your party, you just P and just right click on their name and they just get kicked out. Like easy.
Yeah, that sounds too sweaty for me. I'm not gonna. Why are we not queued? Hello.
Ants trolling.
Huh? Oh.
Oh, Ant's team leader. True, party leader.
Oh,
My
we're having
bad.
some network issues, so you might be able to join the server in a moment. We're working on everything like online. Oh.
Guys, thoughts on dogs?
I have a dog.
Wait,
Yeah, they're right.
Okay, what breed?
Huh.
What breed?
Dorky.
She's like a mutt, but
Mm.
allegedly she's a
Huh.
pit bull poodle mix for the most part. But she definitely doesn't look like a pit bull. I'll give you a picture and you tell me what she looks like.
See.
Because I generally thought you were just purely a cat person. Because I know you're
I
like.
generally was, but I have a cat and a dog now. Velvet
do
likes
they get along?
dogs. Yeah, they get along generally. They'll play with each other and stuff. Let me find a good picture over here.
Has your cat ever peed in your room?
Yes.
Same.
Bro, what?
My dog peed in my room yesterday, and I was really mad.
Yeah, but cats usually just look for somewhere they can dig their thing, you know?
That's like. No, did you? I saw like I saw something on like Instagram. Evan?
So does that look like a pit bull to you?
What? No. What does he look?
She's like 70, alleged 70% pit bull.
How is that a pit bull? How does that a pit bull?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. We had a DNA test, and it was like 70, 67 pit bull, like a good amount of poodle, and then
It's like a
and then
pit
there's
bull.
a couple other
That looks like
things. She
a
looks like a
terrier.
terrier. Yeah, I know. She looked.
Yeah.
We thought she was a terrier when we got her.
Dude, this guy bobbed 2 regens, bro.
I'm already mad.
I'm like trying to get to you, bro, but we
Yeah, you
orb
clearly-
spammed
I'm
and
coming,
TNT spammed and like.
Oh, this guy just fell?
Oh, okay.
I
So-
tapped him right
I was
before
trying to
he
follow you
fell.
boost for that guy's place like 5 TNT,
Yeah,
and I was getting
yeah,
orb
yeah.
spam from behind, and then somebody else on me.
How'd you
Only.
not die, bro.
Bro, I just
Did
tired
Andre-
up. Oh,
did Andre die?
no, I'm just
Oh, this-
chilling somewhere.
I'm mid right now. Somewhere. Where are you guys at? I see one of you guys.
He's like the
Oh,
island
guys,
player right there, by the
he's
way.
connected. He's connected. He's connected.
He's connected to something, not the server, or something.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's go
muted.
over here and get the middle. Huh?
I don't know if I was muted. Oh
you're
fuck! That guy's a fucking diamond. Axe. You just okay. You just wanted me dead, I guess. Okay. Bro just died just to kill
Andre,
me.
stop
Chill.
throwing, bro.
Bro, I'm not trolling. What?
The fuck?
I'm in a lobby. Just.
Hello, Conpro.
Oh, bro.
No, Conpro, come back.
Behind you, behind you, behind you. Nice.
Holy shit, bro, where'd that guy come from? Oh, it's another one! Booster!
Holy
Coming.
Wait, he just like ran by me. He's like ran off the edge by me. He like ran
Oh,
after me.
crash. Rip.
What the fuck?
Nah, he's not levitating all the way up, is he? He's stupid. Oh! In the water.
That too.
What is he doing?
The CNT, no, booster, no!
Oh my god. He was that an intentional trap by him? I genuinely think it was.
I mean, they just went in the hole and put like a million TNT down
yeah,
there.
I didn't see the TNT and I just didn't have water. What? How is there a hole and the water's not flowing down? That is crazy. I just got destroyed, bro.
What the fuck?
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. These past few games have felt like I've been carrying you, and I'm supposed to be the one that's bad at PvP.
All right, calm down, little bro, because you ain't carrying shit, all right? Let me,
I
dude.
literally saved ants.
As far as I can tell, we have not won yet, so... Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
because you
getting,
guys died on my 7-kill game. Nah.
I'm
you mean?
getting jumped from behind every single time I die. I don't know
Yeah,
where
I
you guys are
called
coming from.
behind you, and then your reaction time is just like 5 seconds. So
You
what can I
didn't
say,
call
dude?
shit. I was talking to my good friend Andres, and I didn't hear you, and that's your
God,
fault.
dude. Oh my god. Everybody has me like at 50% on Discord. I don't understand why.
Which have you on? Dude, I turned you down because you fucking yelled on top of your lungs when you die.
Bro, hit a
I don't
fucking diamond
understand
axe.
How do you do the thing where you limit your voice on Discord or something? Because like what Tommy does when he screams, for example. Like his mic doesn't go crazy. I know people use voice meter.
There's a way.
Voice meter just glitches audio for me.
I have voice
I have
meter for
a
that.
sound
but-
box. I have the mic that everybody uses. I have a cloud lifter. I don't know what else to do, man.
Have you tried being good?
I'm just getting trolled, bro. That's something you should try, bro. Honestly.
All right. Well,
Yep. Not even on the leaderboard, bro.
I'm not on the leaderboard. You're right. I'm not on the leaderboard anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I saw it today, dude. You're throwing, and you're literally 24/7 streaming this server, and you're not on the leaderboard. How is that even a thing? You know? Like you probably play more than people on the leaderboard, and
I mean, you're probably right about that one.
Oh, diamond sword.
Please don't fucking break blocks below me. Thank you.
I don't troll, bro.
I want an In-N-Out burger. Holy shit. I don't know why this sounds so good right now. Oh, you killed someone. Wow, look at that. First one dead, like always.
True.
Of course, the guy has a. How did they even get a creeper egg? Was that in one of the early chests?
Oh. Oh, fuck. Oh.
Yo, it seems it's just me and Con Pro. left.
Oh, Combo's on the team?
Guys.
Like, W
How
Compro.
many kills? How many kills?
Butcher, how many
How many
fucking
kills?
bitches
kills,
you got,
bro?
dude? Fuck you, I've won.
Exactly.
How many do you have?
10.
Yeah, the same just fucking started.
Yeah, what can I say, dude? I'm just crazy like that. Oh my god, Ant is on his ass, dude.
Fuck, he had multiple levies and I didn't have any, bro. Oh my god.
I love how you actually like
Well,
turned
you
around
see,
without
that's
any
me.
levies as well.
Ooh.
That is crazy, bro. Conpro just question marked us?
I don't think he was gonna like path that way to fly in the air.
I see swirls uploaded. Let's go with W swirls, W swirls.
You know what? You're just giving him a free promotion on your Twitch. That's crazy.
What?
bro.
He just, what? What do you mean a free promotion?
You're just saying, yo, he uploaded, you know, instead of he should pay you for that. It's like a free
What?
advertisement, you know? Outreach, you know, like. Value
No.
yourself, bro. Like, what are you doing?
All right, yeah, that's like $20 just for giving you a quick little shout out. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put a price on it, bro. Be rich.
Speaking of promoting something, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna. Oh, I just fucking logged. Wait, what the fuck am I doing? I'm so.
While you're at it, check.
Yeah, I'm just gonna check.
HOPLITE, check HOPLITE.
I actually. Okay, I'm just gonna just not talk.
What did I just see in chat, bro? What are these 4-year-olds, bro? Oh my god. Oh, I'm gonna lose online. And gamer just died.
Who?
And the gamer.
Oh my god, yeah, I just connected. Well, I thought Wait, that's crazy. Ant, you're West Coast? I thought you were like East Coast, like freaking Virginia or something.
I do live in Virginia.
Wait, what?
Not anymore.
Oh, so you were from Virginia or something. I thought, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, move W.
That was a while ago.
Dude.
Hey, Andres, how's your day been? Horrible.
Oh my god.
Horrible. I can't log into my favorite server. I am actually addicted. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I'm logging back to on FCC. It's not even up yet.
Bro.
What else am I gonna do?
You're actually scamming your viewers because your title says Hoplite, you know?
Okay.
You're not playing Hoplite, you're scamming.
Oh,
bro.
boost for
Wait, you should honestly just like pause your timer because it's
there's no timer boost for I gotta get wins anyways.
At this point it's just an unlimited subathon because you're never gonna get the wins, dude.
True.
Okay, like okay. It's not a subathon.
But like he didn't say no, so like, you know. Manfrost winning?
Wait, is
I
it?
can't hit this guy.
Jeez, no way. I actually don't want to talk to Anfrost anymore. He uses his left hand. That is
I joined for Hoplite scammed. I'm sorry. Wait, you use left hand?
He uses left hand, bro. I didn't even know that.
I've been on left hand. What do you mean?
Nah, you switched to that. You switched to that. You used to be right hand.
When, bro?
When you were good.
That was good.
We're not playing MCCI yellow. We're just literally just we're not really playing. We're just waiting for Hoplite to come back on. Yo, why don't you play Hoplite? Are you still addicted to Sky Battle?
Bro, how's Anfrost winning this, dude? That's crazy.
Can you stream Hoplite? God damn, dude, Hoplite's it's fucking down. Like, what do you?
What do you want from me, bro?
God damn, man. All right.
To stream the logging in screen.
All right, yeah. Let me just stream this. People just want this, I guess.
Oh my god, I can't get away from this guy.
Wait, Anfrost just won. Yo, let's go.
Wait. Don't re-queue. Don't re-queue.
Oh.
All right, I'm going back on.
Anfrost just won, by the way.
Oh, we wait like 10 seconds before I can queue us again.
Andres did not invite me. Wait, Lifeless Anton?
Is this Lifeless from Among Us, or is this a different Lifeless?
I don't think that's the right one.
Imagine though. How crazy would that be?
GG Yellow. NT. GG Yellow. Dude, a burger sounds so. I can't even order it though. Fuck.
I ate a burger today.
I know, that's why you're the one that made me want to get a burger right now.
I got a double bacon.
I don't like bacon.
Not even from McDonald's or Burger King. I got like from a proper burger place. You know, so it was good and juicy.
Yo, I'm not party leader. Yellow. I'm not party leader. I'm not party leader.
Oh my god.
What is happening?
What are you doing?
I'm getting backstabbed. Okay.
Of course he switches to the sword, this loser.
Wait, revive me, Whisper.
Revive me. You're dead, bro. You're dead. Holy
nah, really?
shit.
I just told you to revive me, though.
No. Ant was getting targeted, then we saved him, and then he left us, bro.
Oh. Wait, Dream uploaded an hour or 17
Bro.
minutes ago.
What happened, bro?
Pissing me off.
Minecraft Chicken versus Hunter. Wait, what? He uploaded? What the fuck? I didn't know that. That's good.
Wait, Ant, do you have a YouTube?
Huh?
Yep, you have a YouTube.
Do I have a YouTube?
Wait, you've uploaded only once on your YouTube, and you have
Uh-huh.
almost as much subs as me? That's crazy.
Wait, what?
Holy shit. That is insane. Dude, that thumbnail too, man. That's like, holy shit. That's crazy. Get me on that real quick.
Surely we're doing something with our YouTube soon, right, Ant? Surely we're gonna upload some HOPLITE wins.
Yeah, he's actually worse than me, bro.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Wait.
Drop one?
Aw. Oh fuck, oh fuck.
Drop another? Drop another? Oh, I got a diamond sword. Coming?
How? Dude, I suck. I suck. I suck. I suck. I literally can't play Skybound. Let me lock the fuck in. Hold on. I'm fucking like, I'm dead ass like sleeping on my chair. Hold on. I'm actually locked in.
How did I die there?
My headset's choking me. I'm locked in.
There's another purple guy. You have no pulse, by the way. Behind you. There we go. I don't understand how I keep dying when Anfrost is in front of my face. He should be tanking the hits, but they're going through him.
Nice. Okay, our teammates want to get into one by with you.
Thank you, teammate.
Yep.
Guys,
But getting shit up ignored it. You're not getting ignored, bro. I'm not, dude. I'm not the party leader, Yellow. Holy, bro.
You and the guy that's comboing you. And
like, bro.
That person is just
message Ants.
You're the one getting hit. Like, how does that work? Because like,
come on, Yellow.
Supposed to be dead right now, but.
How much red damn scabbed out?
Though I was behind Anfrost.
For Yellow.
Bro, if I had pants, I fucking win.
Let me check. Let me check the. Let me check you real quick. See if it's back up. Hopefully. Oh, 800 players out of 2,000. Wait, joining world. Wait, I was pretty fast. Hold up.
It always goes to joining world, bro, and then it doesn't let you.
Wait, joining world. Wait. Surely. Why? Can I just get my wins, bro? Yo, do some. If you're here, swipe the whole lobby for me and let me win, please.
Just make people rage quit, yeah.
Oh, wait. Can you invite Yellow to the party, Ant?
Yeah. Yellow is already in a party.
Oh, Yellow. You know what? Never mind. Just go. Q. Yo, you're literally sweating Skybot. Are you still on the leaderboard, Yellow? I'm gonna check it out. I swear to God, Yellow. Let's see. Let's see if Yellow's on this leaderboard. Top 10. Nope. Wait, daily? Nope. Lifetime. You're such a sweat, Yellow. Oh my God. 1,900. You're such a sweat, dude.
Not break it.
Oh. What happened?
I could just for the wrong shit. Playing parkour instead.
Yes.
A real game.
I suck at parkour. I gotta just get my DPI. I don't know. I'm so used to Valorant aim and ugh. I'm glad I quit Valorant for now. I was actually addicted. I was like mad addicted to Valorant. You know that? Like I was like not hopping off of Valorant for like forever.
Wait, are we on HOPLITE right now, or what's happening?
No. We're on still
Oh, parkour.
PCI.
Ooh la la. Ants is gonna win, by the way. Just letting you know. That guy's nerd.
Huh?
He's a nerd. He's beaten every single map on miner.org or whatever.
Yo, FC Joestar. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it.
Not every. Yeah. You would say that. You would say that, bro. Did like an impossible map come out, or?
All right. Orange toxic? I don't think so.
I agree.
It's not toxic. What?
Toxic.
Dude, I'm like craving so much stuff right now. Oh my god, like Dave's hot chicken sounds so good. Like, oh,
I can't make that jump.
What am I doing?
for some reason I was about to go for that long jump right there. I don't know why. Haha. How? 21.5, 21.45. Okay. Realize I need to...
Go first.
Favorite fast food place? Probably Wingstop. Oh, Wingstop sounds bomb right now. Oh. Cane's? Oh, Cane sounds good too.
Okay, Stuart.
Haha. Isn't Stu the ones that eats like wings without ranch? Like, isn't that like weird? Surely we enjoy wings with ranch.
Bro, isn't ranch like super unhealthy?
I mean, yeah, like most things are.
Yeah, that's why it tastes good.
What?
The more unhealthy it is, the better it tastes.
Wait, Andre.
True.
Most things are.
I mean, like,
There are
if you eat
so
a
many
carrot,
healthy things that you can
no, I mean, like, if you obviously like, okay, carrots for example. Obviously, if you eat carrots every single day, it has to be bad for your stomach, right?
Too much of everything is bad, yeah, but like nobody eats
Bro, I thought you were eating
Exactly.
carrots every day.
No one eats this. Okay, maybe fuck, you're right. Okay, I gotta focus up. I can't.
Hey, that's not a good logic, bro. I don't understand what you're trying to say here.
Which you said boba was unhealthy.
But what is unhealthy, dude?
No, you can order the good kind of boba.
Oh my fucking god, you can't.
What is the
We
good
even
kind?
asked anybody we've asked.
Oh my god.
Boba's unhealthy. It's just known for being high in sugar.
Yeah, that's why you don't
boba's
get. I
a
get
lot
stevia.
I'm taking damage.
Stevia is a good sugar replacement.
My fuck, thrower.
Oh, I caught up to Ant. He's ass.
Go first person. What do you mean?
No. Oh my god. Actually, might die here, guys. Oh, you fucking serious right now with me? Oh fuck.
I think I might make it without dying here.
I'm actually dead here.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Jeez,
make
where are
it.
you?
How the hell did I make it, bro?
Oh my god, what am I watching on your stream?
Fuck! Dude, I can't. I hate that freaking snake.
What the fuck is
What
this?
is
What
this?
what is this? I've never seen this one before. What?
Oh, it's
I don't
like
get it.
this.
I don't get
That's
it.
how it
I've
works.
never.
It just goes around in a circle. That's what these bees do.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh, I see it.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
god,
cool.
you can't do it that way.
That's
Fuck
so
me, bro.
hard, though. Oh my god.
Yeah, this
dude.
is actually like impossible, bro.
What am I doing? Sorry. I'm stupid. I'm throwing.
Oh my god, I'm the thrower.
I made it through. I'm stupid. What am I
Who
doing?
joined live steal? Who's that?
I think I threw. Dude, there's so many
Squiddo.
new levels that I just haven't seen before.
That circling B thing is like, I don't know, that's hard.
I like that. That was like everybody was struggling on it.
It was cool, but it was hard as fuck.
Yeah,
Let me
and
know.
the circles had 2 variations as well. Like it wasn't the same every time.
Yeah, no, it
was
wasn't the same
order and
variation. That
stuff.
was what throwing me off, I think.
Yeah.
You can make a boost for
Wait.
I don't think so.
One more spot, bro.
Only 11 wins? Yeah, I suck.
Oh, I make it nice.
It's fine. I just lock in right now. Johnny World? That's it. True.
I for some reason suck at this one.
What the fuck is that?
Guys,
what?
I'm looking for mods. Guys, any
Yeah, I suck at this
any
one.
Twitch mods? Any Twitch mods? You guys should apply for Twitch
Why am I
mods.
so bad? I'm throwing, dude.
Yo, this crazy clock shit is insane. What is this? Yeah, there's another new level at the end. Okay, Booster, you have to like pre-jump it. You have to time it. You have to like preemptively jump and full send it.
Oh, gotcha.
When it's on the side, preemptively jump and double jump it, like that. Nice. There you go. You got a beast. Oh, well, doesn't matter. Yeah, that's just hard, by the way. That's just crazy
was cool.
hard.
Yo, these new maps.
That was
are
cool. These stages are
dude.
cool.
Yeah, these stages are cool. Did you test Hoplite, Andres?
Oven?
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, yeah. I tried joining, but it's still disconnecting. Maybe it's. I don't know what's going on.
I feel like it's just West Coast because I can join.
Bro, I'm telling you, it's a West Coast thing. I'm telling you, this happens.
Yeah. Maybe you guys
Definitely.
use the same like internet provider and they're just messing something up because I know like Dem had to change internet because for some reason his like internet provider was just not letting him join on like a server I was on.
Yeah.
Changing
I think I'm
internet
gonna get off for
Microsoft.
now then.
I bet.
I've been off for a while. I need to go take a break. Go do some stuff.
Yeah, I need to take a break too, but
Yeah.
can't take a fucking
Good luck
break.
with that, Andres. Good luck with
All right.
that, Andres.
Well, thanks guys. See y'all later. See y'all later.
GG's.
Later. GG's. I fucking hate Booster. Chat, Booster locked off. I have no friends now. What do I do with myself? What do I do, chat? What do I do? It's fine. It's fine, right? Surely. Oh wait, it's actually up. Wait, no way. The server comes back up when they leave, right? Surely not. Surely we're not trolling like that. You crying out? I maybe should, right, Miller? Maybe I might cry. Guys, my friends left me. Okay. It is not working. Okay. I'm gonna game on the server right now. Well, I wish I could like, at least log on. I'm not in school tomorrow since there's a hurricane. Oh, okay. I literally joined. How? Oh wait, I'm in. I'm not in. Fuck, dude. Do I wait here in lobby? Should I just wait in lobby? I'm in. Might get kicked though. Yeah, wait. All right. How long did you take here? 12 minutes. All right. I mean, I'm on the server now, so W. Are you fucking serious? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Oh, I'm back in. Oh, wait. Wait, I'm in the server. I'm in. Wait, it's not lagging. Wait, I'm on. I'm back on. Let's go. Finally, some HOPLITE. Holy dude. All right, let's get this win though. Fine. Hi, Mads. I said hi to you earlier, but hi again. Holy. About time. I got my third Hypixel win from you. Oh, nice. Well, hi, Sophie. We leave and it's instantly on. Yeah, Booster, you took too much space. My eyeball. Okay, let's get it. Okay. We jump now. I gotta go nether. Okay, so I now know that the strat is basically just rush dragon katana. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's because you guys like literally stink and you guys, you know, we're stinking up the lobby. There's literally free iron here. Oh, I get that FPS like all the time. All right. Are you guys ready, chat, for the victory royale? Have you tried the finals? I have not. Isn't that like someone told me about it? It's like that new like 3v3 game mode, right? Yeah, I noticed that Booster was playing and it was like, hell no, this guy stinks. This guy definitely does not take showers. Boy, someone asked me earlier. Someone was like, yo, like, Qndres, how many times do you wash your hair? Dude, I wash my hair every single time I shower. And apparently that's like really bad. It's fine. All good. This guy's going nether, I think, too. See, I just rushed nether. Ah! No diamonds. On my way. Oh, this guy dying fire is pretty good. No, there's nothing. Yeah, and the server instantly comes on when you guys leave, by the way. Instantly you guys leave and just comes back on. It's a coincidence. I think it was a sign. I'm just the type of person who wouldn't shower for a week. No, I shower like almost every day. No, I shower every day. What am I saying? I don't know. I just feel like weird if I don't shower after like a couple of hours. No? Is that no one else? I don't have flint, bro. Here. Well, let me know if you guys are still down to play. I'm still down. I mean, I'm kind of forced to play, you know? Shower every day. I'm sick. Yo, do you wash your hair every day, though? I wash my hair every day. I know it's bad, but I don't know. I don't like my hair being like... I don't like the feeling of knowing that my hair hasn't been washed in like 2 days. I don't know. It feels weird. You know? You know that feeling? You get... surely everyone gets that feeling, right? It's like... I don't know. It's just a weird feeling. I hate that feeling. I just take a shower. Exactly. Daily showers are the move. Yo, where is this? Oh. Alright. Wait, this... It's okay. That's good. Yep. Wrong way. Wait, what? Wait, what? Huh? Wait, what? Wait. What? Come on. Go. What? Huh? Was this treasure and got cut off? Wait, surely not, right? Wait, this was treasure and get cut off. Wait, what? It's literally like a scuffed bastion. Wait, what? Did someone else like verify for me this? Like this is actually like a scuffed bastion? Like hella scuffed? No, wait, what? I am mad confused. What? Bro. No way I just got scammed. Bro. Yo, are we trolling right? What? Okay, so nice. I was the first one another, but I just don't get anything because... okay. Wow. And I just like taking NPC damage. Can you help me with biology? Yes. I think I might be a good biology teacher. Surely I can help you with biology. Ooh. Golden apple. Okay. Please have what I need. Ugh. Oh, wait, what? There's another chest over here? Please have what I need. I'll be. Is there a chest every corner? No. All right. Time to get the gold blocks, I guess, and I need a fire charge. And I just need one more. Yeah, what is this lava? Oh, he got all the books. He got all the gold. This shit is looted. Never mind. They're not real Minecrafters. Never, 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 Pippi, never. Absolutely never. Yeah, they're not real Minecrafters. They don't know what the gold blocks are. Okay, this guy knows what the gold's at. You got it. We'll just die there. Okay. Wait, where'd I come from? I already forgot where I came from. Nope, yeah, it's right there. I mean, that's not my portal, but I mean, fine. You're getting griefed, man. Wow. Borderline from cataract. Wait, what? What are we talking about? Why is the first thing I message I see cataracts? What the hell is cataracts? Well, I can't. That's fine. Just give me one leather. I'll be good. Give me one cow. Horses work. There's a cloud of lens of eye, which... Alright, clear comms, yo. Yo. Fuck. Oh, God. I got the... Oh. Don't talk about incisions or anything. Oh, fuck. Dude. Oh, fuck. This guy's getting emerald sword. Now you're good. I hate people. I don't like people that talk about... No, I do like people, but I don't like incisions and stuff. It gets me like... I get sick. Oh my god, that's like my biggest fear. Won't do it again. Fine, bro. What's better? What's faster, my pickaxe or Infinity One? What? Wait, what if someone said my name? Biggest raid I've ever seen. Oh. I don't think he's talking to me, but it just fits so good. Someone said my name and just called me the biggest meat writer. All right. Looks like I'm the biggest meat writer. Okay, there's just no diamonds. Any diamond finders? I'll check. Diamond finders. Okay, all right. All right, bro, just tell me about his biology homework. All right, well. Bro, just go to DMs. Bro, they're talking about... Hey, dude, I need help with my math homework today. Like, please, like, I really need help, dude. And, like, you're the only streamer that can help me out today. If not, I'm going to probably fail this class. Like, okay, well. Oh, now it's a meme. So, okay, well. Edged. Yo, so I saw one of the unbanned requests, by the way. Yo, was that guy actually weird? Sova, Qndres, if you guys see my signs, don't kill me. Yes, you need to learn bastions, bro, because you just know where all the gold's at and you just win. No, don't. I have a stack of iron. What am I doing? I need 2 diamonds, bro. Please. Prage, 2 diamonds. Please. Please, 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 please. And at night. All right, nothing there. Okay. Yeah, just watch like K4 Bastion Guide. It's literally just watch that whole video. You're fine. You're chill. That's what I did for like most of my bastions. And I feel like that's all you really need, just basic routing. Sharp a 9-man team with Fortress. Jesus. I wish I could get like an actual just crazy sweat team one day. Are they actually? Yeah, I mean, yeah, just for spare iron, don't know. Just like watch that video and it's like you want to get gold blocks. My nose itchy. Bring back screenshot. It feels like it was taking too much space, no? That's all that's all I really felt like it was doing. Just taking up screen chat. Like screen distance. You know what I mean? Like just I don't know. It didn't look ugly, but I just like prefer it without it. Focus on the gameplay more instead of like why do you need chat on the screen, you know? Maybe for like a VODs channel, right? People that couldn't see VODs, but I mean, I don't really understand. The cat died. GG. I killed the cat. Cat Yogar died. Looks like I'm iron rushing. No diamonds. This was indeed diamondless game. I went back to where I came from. there is a wiggle emote, so you guys can just use cat yogurt there. Another day in paradise. Did someone just chop something on me, or am I tripping? Oh, that's the fucking gravel. Yo, Chad, music fire, by the way. I just made a new playlist, and I think it's pretty good, right? It's like chill. All right. All right, we gotta kill people that have diamond stuff. You see what I mean by suck of parkour? You sneeze. Stream HOPLITE now? Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm kind of on it, no? Wait, what's the title? What's the title? What's the title? It's HOPLITE? Zero's this way. Yeah, I bet. Mushroom hat. Come here. Oh, this guy's getting really unlucky. Wow, X. 36. Oh, Midas. Ahí está Midas. Oh, fuck. I gotta eat this gap here. Okay, I have gold blocks. Let me get healing real quick. That sticks. Okay, I gotta kill that guy. Somehow. I need the diamond sword. The Midas. Okay. Please give me more apples. It's up. No, no one's bringing back cat yogurt. Sorry. Okay, I sit down on my chair. Get this. Make the light apple. I remember sunset like it was last night. Flowers. I fucking love this song, bro. I would sub. I'm not bringing it back. Sorry. GG's. No, nothing will bring it back. I'm sorry. Sorry, nothing can bring it back, cat yogurt. Not bringing back the damn cat. GG's. L cat. I'm kidding. I still love it though. Was the guy here? Was there not someone here? I swear I saw someone like just running around this village. Dude, Babu was telling me I gotta get into cobwebbing people because That might be meta. There's people fighting with the fire aspect sword. Oh my god, Wallach's on 34, bro. You gotta fight him, Crit Turtle. Dude, you gotta fight him, bro. Oh my god. He's dead here. $18 now? Like, what? What do you get? I think you got weakness. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, has healed like 30 times on me already. I don't know. I want this guy's sword. Got him. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, just okay. That's a lot of G-heads and. Yeah, I'm looking at it. What can go wrong? Yo, what the fuck? You can get that? That's like a whole other roll hearts. What's up, Cat Tomboy? Hello. What a fire sword, yeah. Yeah, I know. No, they are suspicious too. What they're running? I don't know. I thought they would like turn around. Low key, like I didn't know. They kind of just panicked there and just didn't, you know. Fine, it's fine. We got this. Though. We got this. We got this. We got this. There's still someone that has like 2 force diamond. Whoever rushed another, they got diamond armor. Kill this guy. Dying fire is pretty good. What? Wait, there's just. All right. it's been. Wait, what? You don't understand my lobbies floaters, bro. Like, if you can see my lobbies, dude, it's just. I just, dude, and I also played. I don't play like there's a gun to my head, by the way. I've been seeing your streams. You'd be definitely playing a little sweaty. I don't play like that. No, you definitely do. You definitely do. I be seeing. I saw that. You rush enchants? I mean, I've tried that already. You'll see right now. Watch. You'll see what I mean. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, like that guy was actually mailing me there. What do you do with people that just run and ball a game, huh? What do you do with them? Damn, big noob. What can I say? W. Put that in there. Put that in there. Wait, I can't put cobbles in there? All right. Wait. Start 3 now. Okay, cool. I need to go kill that guy with the netherite loot. OMG, the netherite, the UHers are all back together. Yep. You know, that's crazy. It's like, I mean, I think I said it before, but most of the UHC community all went to speedrunning. But like, so most of them left early, you know? They didn't really stick in 2018. Look at this flood of skin. Oh. Wait, thanks for that water. Oh my god. Yo, it's crazy how people say that like, I'm addicted to this game. Bro, I did not play Minecraft for like, I don't even know. I just played Minecraft for videos. That's all I would play Minecraft on. But the moment I play it and the moment I start streaming, it's like, oh, you play 24/7 GG's. I'm like, bro, what? Well, he killed Dying Fire. Oh shit. Wait, is that an enchanted diamond sword? It is. I'll get back on the leaderboards. I'll get back on there. I just lost my bow rush. I can't rush ender bow anymore. I'll get back in there. It's my turn next. It's my turn. There's just no one here. 0-0. I got bones, right? Yeah, I did. Threw the redstone out. Nice. Do you have any like books? I got nothing. Damn. I want to make it Pro 2 stuff, but I can't. I got no books. Grass, what's that? It's some like species or some. Yeah. No one here? Bum, bum, bum. Yep, there's nothing. No irons, no nothing. Someone just has. Is this Septo? I think Septo's a Hypixel player. I think there's redstone over here. Yo, is there really no one here? I'm not going there. There they are. Okay, I thought I knew them. Why isn't the meta to craft saturations too? Like what? Because you can't region normally. I've heard that they're actually adding game modes. That'd be pretty cool. I still stand by my word that they should make anything before PvP, just for like the people, you know, the quote unquote new players in UHC. Like, just make them take like literally no damage. I don't know. I got banned on HOPLITE for what? What are you doing, huh, bro? What are you doing? How'd you get banned on HOPLITE? Oh, pink sheep. There's no, I can't do anything about your ban, by the way. I just hope you know. Because I'm a YouTuber and I can't. Oh yeah, bro, I got you. Yeah, dab me up. Oh, it's fine. Hey, I didn't say it. You know, I didn't say it. Hey, chat, I didn't say it. Yeah, maybe X-ray. I don't know. No, anyone? Actually, don't sub. Actually, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to keep streaming for another 8 hours, bro. Idea. They said X-ray. Yeah. You probably have evidence, bro. Alright. Now, how to win game? Oh, I saw that absorption potion. All right, let's see who we can find. Let's see who we see. Who we see. Who we see. Who do we see? Who do we see? Who do we see? Come on. Yeah, you hit on him. Wait, that prot. I thought that was prot 3 leggings. No, look at his. What is it? Wait, why do you make a diamond helmet? What? Oh, this guy got the end loot. Okay. Probably be full diamond here. It's fine. Oh, guys, Artemis. What? Oh. Oh, I can't hit him. All right. Yo, why the fuck you just blowing me, bro? Hello? Dude. All right, it's enough mowing, man. Hold on, I'm just making more healing. I just wanna. Dude, that KB on it, it's actually annoying. All right. Like, what? Why did I not get the apples? Wait, what? Okay, this guy got outrun, yeah. Oh. Dude, this guy about to bow him off me. Please. Why do I get... Dude, it's the... Yeah, he shit on me really bad. Dude, that fucking KB is actually annoying on that sword. Ugh. I'm not taking a break. No, we're good. No. I'm not playing 7 until I get a win, bro. Yeah. I just got mad. I got mad. Literally, it's just, yep, speed 1 and just, oh, shit's annoying. All right, I don't need to take a break. I'm good. Oh, dude, I got so mad. I'm just mad now. I'm just mad. And I just get bowed. I guess, like, okay, the only way that possibly makes sense why you're bowing me is because I'm full diamond, but like, I don't understand, bro. Also, the Midas is horrible, bro. Like, it's just the shittiest weapon. A sharp 3 Midas, that's it. Like, how many kills did I have that game? And it was only a sharp 3. It should be like a tier system, like 1, 2, 3. It's like, sure, it's guaranteed. 4 to 5, it's like 75, and like everything else is a 50% chance. You know what I mean? That's like a way to nerf Midas. A 50% chance You either gotta be really lucky like that one guy got in Civ, or it's just dog shit weapon. Oh fuck, that shit made me mad. And what, like, why do I get the shittiest spawns too, dude? And Nether Fortress, like, what was that spawn? I went Nether first and just get like, whatever. I gotta stop. Okay, all right, chill. Welcome back, K Saucy. I lost. What's up, Union? That OG Badline. Yeah, bro, OG Badline, bro. Haha. What's up, Union? Yeah, I do. I got the right here. Where is it? I also need a texture pack, bro. Like, I don't have a texture pack, and it's actually, let's get out of your W. Prepare to get dropped. I don't know about that one, Union. You know, last time I was disguised and I dropped you. I wasn't streaming or anything, but I was disguised and I dropped you. I was okay. I'm not sure if you remember this game, but we were next to trees, and you tried cleaning me, and I was like, I bet I know what to do here. So you fight the guy, and I guess you like took him from me, and I ended up just like cleaning you and just beating you and just dropping you. You'll never know. You'll never know the game if you don't know. If you don't know. All right, just loot the same chest I'm fucking looting. That's cool. Well, it's gonna be different this time. Let me lock in. Let me lock the fuck in. Who was that guy that killed me, by the way? That guy was being annoying. I can't get a... Dude, why is it downstream? I can't get a win, bro. I'm like, I just freaking wave. All right. All right, hold on. All right. Okay. Everyone's learning how to win now. That's what I gotta realize. Did you eat? Yes, I eat, narrator. What's up, MRP? All right. I'm chilling. What'd you eat? I ate oats. Morning oats. Chat, if I end up being quiet, by the way, I'm just like really focusing right now. All right, just letting you know. You a full-time streamer? Full-time content creator, yeah. YouTube and Twitch. Both. You should go sub to my YouTube though. I just hit 30K. Stock shit cave. Yeah, I did play UHC Hypixel. I only got 9-star though, and then I quit. Just like not enjoyable. Getting B-hopped every game with no help. If you weren't YouTube rank, it's just GG's. You just couldn't do anything. Staff on there is just... I mean, I only have like... I don't like a handful of staff on Hypixel. But like, if back then, by the way, like when people were moderators, like... It actually got to the point where Hypixel staff would only help you if you rated them after your stream. And yeah, it was like that. It was weird. Like they would only like ban people for you in your games if you rated them after. You can grow on Twitch and YouTube. Just do both. Put in the work. Put in the work on both. Thanks for subbing to me, Will the Hide. You see, I could just get Duzamon, but no, I want to get a win. Getting Duzam equals easy win, but no, I ain't gonna do it. Was that not just? Okay. I guess go down the same cave. People already nether probably already. How do you wait? I got a full focus now. I got a full focus. Let's poop. You do gotta be active on everything. Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Yep. That's it. If you're not active, you're just not gonna see growth. Take it from me, I took a 2-month break and just did not grow anywhere. One video a month does not help. Stream. I do got to upload on YouTube. I do. Easiest cheat code? Yep. Oh, okay. No, my luck, I only get one. That's chill. I do need to upload on YouTube though. I have the editors ready. Like I have the editors ready. Like they're literally waiting for me to give them footage, but I'm streaming, so I can't give them footage. My internet would die if I give them footage right now. So it's fine. After the stream, I just download every single one that I want to give them, and then yeah. Oh fuck! I just gotta go up again because there's no good cave. I ain't strip mining. I could just do what Floatus does and just get enchants, but will that work? Let's see. If Floatus is right, dude, it's just like I already missed nether, you know, so I can't really go nether anymore. All right, kill horses, kill cows. Okay, just no leather. It works. Oh, hurricane. You have an upload schedule? No, but I probably will have when I have this editors up. Because as long as they give me one video a week, I probably could upload like 2 videos a week. Right? Because if they give me one, if they both edit a video and I can just have it ready. The only thing I need to work on is a thumbnail, but thumbnail's easy to make now. I got it down. I just need the PNGs and of each. Actually, well, I can just put it on. Get it from the HOPLITE thing. All right, I got stuff for enchants now. All right, someone just went there. Why solo? Because I gotta get a solo win. I gotta get one win. I'm not playing teams like I can hang my I can hang until I can actually hang in for myself. Like imagine I'm just like dying, and if I can't even survive in solos, what's gonna happen in teams? You know? Let me get that solo win real quick. I can stop botting out and stop being a bot. I'm big noob. I am big noob. Music might change, maybe. What is bro on? I can't tell. Oh, there's just a golden apple waiting for me there. Okay. He might be mad. Wait, what's he on? Sling hot on 28. Okay. What's up, Sam? Hi, Sam. Hello. How are you, Sam? Sam, I'm like low-key mad. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just HOPLITE. It's fine. It's just HOPLITE. I just got poisoned there, but it's just HOPLITE. It's just HOPLITE. That's it. I just can't. I can't get mad. It's just Hoplite. It ends. Wait, why is bro mining with? Oh, okay. I see the kind of. Okay. Okay. I literally coded my computer block game. Yep. That's what it is. It's a block game. Why am I getting mad over a game where I lose? When I should be getting 8 more wins. Okay. Qndres QA Civ with me and Toasty? No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Bro, I want these wins to be like cool wins. You know? Dude, obviously I can just like get Duzem on for easy wins, but like that's why I've been like messaging like my friends, you know, so I can play with them. So what is this? Like diamond, like no diamonds, no? Alright. Just no diamonds this whole cave. I played with Booster, I played with Bobblue, I played with so many people. Isn't Duzem your friend? Yeah. That's why I've been playing with my friends as well. How long you play? I don't know. I'll probably take a break soon though. Just get Floatives. True. Yo, Floatives, get on and just carry me in my games, please. Thanks. Okay. I'll play with you. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I also need to get this okay. Hey, diamonds. So you played with your friends instead of playing Sozum? No, like I'm saying, like if I wanted to just get win, I could play with Duzem, right? But like obviously, Duzem's still a friend. But like I'm saying, if I wanted a guaranteed win, I can just play with Duzem every single time. Like, do you know what I'm trying to get at? Like, yeah, Duzem's still okay. I'm so confused. You're trying to ask me right now. Back, what's up, Gifting? Welcome back. I didn't win that game, bro. I'm mad. Pretty much trying for content. Yeah, I guess you can say that. Qndres has friends? No, I don't got any friends. They're all associates. What are they called? The thing where they're all business things. Hi, Next Star, what's up? Hello. What the wait, FB, what the hell is that? What does that mean? FBLA? Eh. Coworkers, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah, everyone's just coworker to me. I don't got no friends, they're all coworkers. Okay. Alright. Futures Business Leaders of America. What? Colleagues, that works too. Anything but friends, chat. I don't got no friends. I'm not sure how sad that is. Yeah. You know, there's actually like a lot of YouTubers that don't consider people friends. They just consider them as like colleagues and stuff like that. Isn't that like weird? Like, yeah, the guy's just like, he's only there for the videos. Like, yo. All right. Who do you say watch? K4. K4 is good to watch. K4. That's literally his name. K4. This guy right there just. What did I just do? What happened? Oh, leveled up. Is he gonna fight him right now? They fighting? Apple for later. Yeah, K4. Yeah, him. Oh shit! Oh shit! This guy's going crazy. On 28. This guy on. Oh. Oh, diamond. Oh, I can make enchants now. I'm focusing up. Oh, he's going nether. But why is he running, bro? Fight him. Oh, he's fighting now. Wait, he's on. Fuck. What is? He's literally so low. What? Come on. I suck with the bow, bro. Thank you. Dude, this guy's on fucking 1 HP. Blow me again. Bro. Oh my fucking god. Bro, I've only played I've only literally played one game. Literally the last game was my first game back. What? Like what? This isn't looking good. Oh my fucking god. Just come here, dude. There's a guy right behind me now. Like, what the fuck? Get the head, buddy. I didn't get the head. All right, so they take like, what is going on, bro? Do y'all see this? Like, all right. These fall shadows. Appreciate it. Anyone know where that head was at, by the way, from earlier? He just leaves back. I forgot what the head was at. Fuck. Go to the ravine. Remember the cores of it? You guys still. Oh, there's a guy right there. Oh, it was like somewhere over here. I'm just like not even trying to like fight you. I'm just trying to go through. Dude, there's a guy behind you. On the ravine. Gonna get the nuggets. It's his dog buff again. Okay. That's 15. Like, why, bro? Oh my fucking god. Like, how do I not get that kill either? Like, what? Oh my god, okay. This might be the guy who went nether. Right? You just eat the candy. I don't even know what this guy did, to be honest with you. I can't tell you what this guy did. Okay. How much speed do I have for how long? Enchant temp yet? I don't care what the enchants, by the way. I just want to get sharp 3. Hi, Jocelyn, by the way. Sorry, I'm like fully focused, chat. Do that. Like what? No. Fuck. Just got like no good enchants here. Sharp, please. Like, no, not sharpness. Nice. Okay. Hopefully we kill someone with the sharp hook, I guess. Redstone in there? Oh, redstone. Alright. One sec. Oh, shit. Okay, we're good. We're chilling. Whew. Alright. All right, all right, all right. We win this, we win this, we win this. Focus up. All right, after this, by the way, I'm going to download a texture pack. Can someone link me a texture pack, please? Like, I actually need a texture pack. I can't play vanilla Minecraft, bro. I hate this texture pack. Like short swords or something. Like, just like any like UHC texture pack you can find that's 1.20. Put it in my Discord. Put it in my Discord. Put it in my Discord. No, not. It just. Put it in my Discord. Put it in my Discord. Short sword, anything. Just text like X, like not X-ray. Stuff with like diamonds on it, you know. Please. Yeah, diamonds up here. No, not like that. All right. Well, who's at 0-0? Just kill the guy with 14 diamonds. Okay. Thought I had a law bucket on me. Anyways, today? No. So far, I've only played. Like, how many games have I played? I played a total of 3 games so far. I'll be honest with you, like 4-ish. No, 3-ish because I woke up at 9, started shooting like at 10, and then HOPLITE went down. Yeah, total like 3 games so far. So I'm 0 for 3 tonight. If HOPLITE was on earlier, I would have hopefully gotten some more wins, but nope. HOPLITE was down for like an hour. That'll work, Chris. That'll work. Like good copper only. Yeah, I'm good. Wait, what? Wait, this guy did not have boots? Oh, he does have boots. It's just... It's a power 5. All right. Okay. How many times I've gotten clean, actually? I don't even want to fight anymore. We're probably just gonna get clean. I don't want to fight, bro. Yeah, you see, the guy's right there behind you. Yeah, we can't really fight this guy right behind you, by the way. Just letting you know. Yeah. Oh, whoop, they're hiding right there. This Arnie guy's destroying him. Go away, go away. Okay. Oh, nice. You just both stands on a horse? I think he's not a union. Maybe it's, yeah. Song's a banger, by the way. Yo, I need this guy to jump down. Who is this? Please. Oh, shot him. Bro shot me dripstone. Please. Let's not. Okay. Yo, Fade Shadow, what's up? Thanks for the follow. All right. Well. Okay, I gotta go mid and get gaps, or what's the plan here? I'm just gonna get full mode, so you get mid and get healing. Bro really wanted me dead with a shovel there. Ain't no way. The fuck? Did you just P-box? Or... Oh, this guy's getting bow spent over here. Yeah. You go for that guy, man. I'm playing the secure. Alright. I even make another chest plate for prot too. Doesn't even have prot on it. Uh. Okay, that's nice. I think this, who's the guy with the Midas or the Artemis? Okay.
Mikas has gifted a sub to Fortress_.
Hear him. Yo, Mika, thanks for getting that sub.
Mikas has gifted a sub to Gabriel King 1233.
Yo, Mika, thanks for another sub.
Mikas has gifted a sub to Mwu_1.
Thank you, Mikas. Come on, chat. If I fucking win this, bro, I can cry. My first win of the fucking day, I'm gonna actually cry. Even though I'm like, I have a lot of them. Okay, that guy is cooking with that. Yo, Mika's like another sub.
Mika's has gifted a sub to him Just a Fish Live.
Okay. Wait, what if there's like... Oh, this guy got Bastion. What am I doing? I need to kill this guy here. Yeah, this is the guy that got Bastion loot. He definitely has a bunch of healing. And arrows. Huh? Oh, we're gonna do that now. That guy really wants him dead. And hey, I ain't gonna say anything, chat. See, the guy's still healing. No way, dude. Oh my fucking god. About fucking time I start with, dude. Oh my god. 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 Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. I'm gonna cry, dude. You don't understand how long it's been since I had a win. Oh my god. Okay. You know, and that was the game that everyone called me a noob. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. How does that would feel? It feels like I've never won a game in my life, dude. I'm still not on the leaderboards again. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh my god, bro. Yo, Mikas, thanks for the 4 gifted subs. I appreciate you. Oh my god, dude. I did, dude. Oh my god. 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 I won the game. I won the game. Thank you, Senshi. Oh my god, dude. Jesus. Y'all, dude, you guys do not understand, bro. 12 out of 19, I will take it. 7 more wins, chat. 7 more. Wait, that's 7? 7 more wins? We got this, chat. We got this. Oh my